You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carlos Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 200.
Apparently, I've just noticed, unfortunately, I've put the wrong one out. It says 199 on it.
We're doing 199 again.
Yeah.
First faux pas of the 200 show.
Right, okay.
That's fine, we'll roll with that. Will
we?
That's how we do things here on the show, just
enough.
totally off the cuff.
Does that mean we've got to come back next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Do it all over again. Yeah.
Where was the soundboard there, Jeff? You missed that one.
They didn't let me connect anything to your soundboard for some reason.
It started working. Nobody dare touch anything, you know.
So it is the 20th of January. It's just gone 2 p.m. in the afternoon here in the UK, and it's the 200th show. Wow. Yeah. How do we get this far, guys? Come on. Hey, I can hit the screen. Yay! And those of you watching live in the YouTube chat room will probably notice that I'm missing something today on my head, which is the usual PTUK hat.
Hair?
Well, hat, not hair. No. I won't. I'm never going to go bald. I'm never going to go bald. Anyway, but yes, I'm missing my hat because someone told me a week or two ago that I was not to wear the PTUK hat at the 200th show.
Well, let's be honest, it's a health hazard, isn't it?
I don't know what you're saying there, Mr. Al. No.
I mean, have you donated it to the local zoo?
I'll have you know that is a very prestigious hat, that is, with two very, very good badges on.
Does it have somewhat
badges.
of a smell?
I thought you said badgers. I was going to say
badges. So welcome everyone who's joined us live for the show. We have got a huge audience here joining us in the Sim Centre here at NP Simulations in Putney, London. And well, we're going to say a big thanks to those guys before we start things for letting everyone descend on the Sim Centre here. It's been a fantastic start to the day. I almost didn't get here because of certain traffic issues in London. But let's be honest here, Brian Coleman had a really, really good tour of London on the way here this morning. So I think he's quite appreciative of that. So, but joining me, as always, on the show, and is the first of the two, well, all I can say is technical geniuses of the show. So welcome, Matt Smith.
Hello, everyone. I don't know what else to say to that.
Matt, you've been rather busy for the last 24 hours.
Apart
from the drinking.
Right, yes, no, myself and Nev arrived a little while ago, didn't we, Nev? We've been here a few days. And yes, we've sort of turned this nice little, what used to be a nice training room, into a recording studio, basically. So for episode 200. So yeah, it's been good fun. It's good fun.
I know.
I think all good so far.
And also, as always, is the second tech genius of the show, and it's Mr. Neville Bounds.
Hello. Yes. Well, the most important thing is that the buffet has been consumed or is being consumed. So that's
very true.
great. Yeah, but it's going to be a great show. A lot of stuff going on yesterday in the setup and what have you. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
No, you two have done a really good job, I will say.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
I would say hats off to you, but obviously
There you go.
can't be the hat. We have got a panel of hosts joining us on the show, and well, let's just say they've flown in from pretty much everywhere around the world, but we have stolen at least nearly all of the APG crew and part of the Airplane Geeks crew as well. But and there's a Pip somewhere, the Plane Safety Podcast. There he is. He's here. Unfortunately, we didn't have room at the table for Pip, so he's outside in the rain. Poor boy. So sitting next to me here is well, the man, the legend we all know. Welcome, Captain Jeff.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm so glad I get to take part of this wonderful celebration. 200 episodes. That's awesome.
Oh, I know.
No, I'm not supposed to say awesome. We use that too much.
Awesome.
No, thanks for flying over, Jeff. It's fantastic. Thanks for taking time out of obviously your busy schedule for joining us on the show. It's
my
really
pleasure.
good to see you. And I must say, you look very smart today, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. Well, I make up for the lack of smart in my brain.
And also joining us here on the panel, it's the amazing, well, I'm going to say someone who we probably could have done with yesterday because a certain Mr. Coleman managed to slice half his hand off before he flew out here to the UK, and we nearly had to fly Dr. Steph in by private jet, but we we didn't at the last minute. But welcome onto the show, Dr. Steph.
No, thank you so much for having all of us here and setting all of this up. This is really awesome. I'll say awesome again a million times just for Sir Neville Downs, who loves that word that we Americans use. But no, this is a great setup and really cool experience for all of the listeners here to be able to do the simulator, and great beer too. So thanks to
yes,
Wow,
Matt
this is really
Caton. Well done, Matt Caton, for the beers. Awesome job. But have you managed to fix Brian's finger, Steph?
I think he did a reasonable job of putting it back together himself. So we'll give him that honorary medical degree here in a little while, and good to go.
Oh dear! And sitting next to Dr. Steph, he is the Admiral of Airbus, and it's Captain Nick.
Hi there, everybody. What a great pleasure it is to be on this 200th show. You know, I never actually thought you'd get past 2, and now you're here at 200. This is absolutely brilliant. And thanks for the beer. I noticed it was bottled yesterday, so it's a youthful beer. Brilliant. It's lovely to see you all. Lovely to see all the wonderful people outside, and can't wait to get my hands on that Boeing and crash it.
He's under strict rules not to crash the sim later, but we are. I mean, we're all in agreement here. I think everyone who's outside, out in the lounge area at the sim centre here, we all definitely want to see Captain Nick flying this Boeing simulator, don't we?
Well, flying might be a bit of a stretch.
A big stretch, I'd say.
It's a Boeing, after all. I could probably just blunder around it like all the Boeing pilots do.
I think that as much as we should worry about Nick, I think we need to worry more about Pip.
Yeah.
Yes. Just a warning to the folks that run this place.
Yeah. He may do a plane safety podcast, but is safety his middle name? I don't know. Anyway, moving swiftly on to the next guest host on the show. And he's been staying at PTUK Towers for the last couple of days, and yesterday sampled many beers in and around the city of Norwich, where me and Matt Neal live. And welcome onto the show from the Airplane Geeks, Brian Coleman.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been wonderful staying at
Too much IPA.
That's a very appropriate name for it, Brian.
Plain Talking UK Towers, so that was a lot of fun. Wanted to wish everyone a happy new year and a happy 200th show, and also wanted to pass along Micah's well wishes for everyone and congratulations. So he wanted to make sure that his love was expressed. So
hi, Micah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hello,
and Micah. Yeah. So for Dr. Steph, in addition to the thumb, I wore the float plane shirt for you.
Very nice.
And for Captain Nick, I did not wear my Boeing hat. So
You're a gentleman.
yeah. So I figured maybe Pip would appreciate the Dassault hat.
That Boeing hat would have made me feel quite queasy. I'm standing here, sitting here, and all I can see is huge letters in front of me, 737.
It's actually part of therapy for Nick.
Aversion therapy.
Oh, brilliant. And sitting next to Brian Coleman, he's one of the biggest legends, I think, of PTUK. I think we'll agree, guys. Yeah, and every time we have him on the show, the viewing figures spike tremendously, quite sharply. So welcome. He is obviously an aficionado again of the Airbus product, Captain Al.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm absolutely delighted that I can make it. As some of the listeners might know via social media, unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to come, and then a little bit of good fortune came my way. My roster was changed, and here I am, and I'm absolutely chuffed to bits. Now, I'm the actual official bookkeeper. I'm running a sweepstake as to see who's going to do the best and worst landings. So maybe the listeners who can't be here or are indeed here but are also in the chat room. So I'm taking bets, really. No money will change hands. Obviously, I'm not a licensed bookmaker. So, but who do you think is going to do the best and worst out of the podcast presenters in this simulator?
Who said that?
I don't know. I did that without moving my lips.
Worst landing.
Hi, Pip. Pip just running there.
Pip just ran in.
Now, I have to say that those pilots amongst us who fly the sort of older generation of aircraft are obviously going to have the upper hand here, because things like trimming and so forth are alien territory for Nick and I. So I think there should be a handicapping system in play. No, Jeff's shaking his head. He's not accepting that. And you can't use jet lag as an excuse now, because you're fully acclimatised.
Okay.
And we all look forward very much to seeing you both in the sim later on, Al and Nick.
We should sit beside each other and do it and kick those Boeing guys out.
Laurel and Hardy.
We could have great fun.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. So also, we actually ought to say a massive welcome to, obviously for everyone as well, who's sitting out the front there watching us on the big screen. So hello everyone in the front room.
Hello, everyone.
Can they hear that from?
They can hear.
Okay.
I think they can hear it. Can they hear us in there?
Yeah. I
better not
think
say
we should label it the green room, really, because that's where all the booze is, isn't it?
And we better not say anything bad, then, really, have we? But also in the front room as well. Also, an awesome part of today has been for me seeing my father Phil in the sim. He went in the sim earlier on and had a go. And I will say, obviously, like father, like son, my father done an awesome takeoff and landing in the sim. So well done, Phil. Give him a round of applause.
He's very embarrassed.
He's very embarrassed.
Yeah, he's very embarrassed. Yeah. He is. He's got a lovely shade of red.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry. It's the IPA.
Yeah.
And on that note, actually, as well, we just
Yeah.
tacked the
Actually, I
elevator.
should just say, because Owen's got a radio mic in there, so I don't know if Dad wants to say anything.
Oh, Dad, yeah, just pass the radio mic to my father, Owen. Let's have a quick chat with my dad.
Yeah, I'd just like to say it's great to actually have an invitation to come up here today, and I've always fancied to go on the simulator, and really enjoyed it. It's been great. And,
God, you can tell he comes from Norfolk, can't you?
Yeah. And also, it's because of my father that this kind of aviation thing was, at a young age, brought into my life as such. I have very fond memories, actually, of a flight in a rather wonderful aircraft made by the Russians called the Tu-134A. With an airline that I don't think is about anymore, called Aviogenics, and I can hear someone shouting in the front. It's you can safely say that the Russian-built airliners are definitely built to last, I think, is the word there.
yes.
What, they're built out of wrought iron.
So I suppose you ought to move on with the show, I suppose, as we normally do, I suppose. So we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're all ready... No, Matt's reading an iPad.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Yes, sorry. The radio mic is working, but unfortunately the volume is very low. We don't seem to be able to do anything about it, so apologies about that. They're all up, yeah.
Okay, so...
Just before we move on...
Yes.
Because as you know, I have this habit of delaying everything so that we run out of time for the military.
It's all right, don't panic. We haven't actually planned any. Don't worry.
Oh, fantastic!
I didn't have any military shows.
Say something, or you just... Yeah.
I did actually put a note in the show notes just to say, apologies to Captain Al that we won't have any military segment this week.
Have you not learnt that neither Pip nor I bother to read the show notes? And actually no one bothers to read the show notes.
No, I don't.
You
no.
come from the same school as Matt. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But Nev's read the show notes, so we're okay. And so we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with a rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yeah.
Nev?
Yes.
Guys?
Oh, yeah.
Ready.
Yeah,
Let's go.
it's going to be awesome.
So, kicking off this week's first news story on the Sky News website, this one. And the headline, Budget Airline Norwegian sets new transatlantic record. The story then, a budget airline has beaten the record for the fastest transatlantic flight by a conventional aircraft. And I'm proud to say that the Norwegian Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner flew from New York to JFK and from London Gatwick in 5 hours and 13 minutes. Much to the surprise of the 284 passengers, the flight arrived in London 53 minutes early at 9:57 on Monday. The aircraft reached ground speeds of 776 miles per hour during the 3,500 mile flight, thanks to tailwinds of 202 miles an hour. A British Airways Boeing 777-200 is believed to have previously held a subsonic flying record from New York, London, which was in 5 hours and 16 minutes in 2015. Norwegian Captain Harold Van Dam, any relation to John Claude? The 787 Dreamliner is a pleasure to land, and it's a great feeling to know that we have set a new record in the aircraft.
I can understand it being a pleasure to land. After all, who wouldn't want to get out of that damn thing as quickly as possible? And I might point out the only reason it did it that way because it had a huge record-breaking tailwind.
So yeah, on the back of that story, then it's obviously it's obviously a pleasure for you guys to see that Boeing has again broken another record.
It's broken another Boeing, I think.
So I'm guessing, Nick, you've never travelled at these speeds in the 340?
No. I mean,
even with your tailwind?
All these airliners go very slowly compared with, say, the Tornado.
Now, Al, you're obviously very famous on the show for having high winds.
Well, you're being quite brave, all of you, sat in the same room as me after we all had curry last night. So, and I believe you're downwind of me. So,
yes, that is the issue. But no, it's great news for anyone on that. Sorry, Jonathan. Jonathan Warner's just put a note at the window here in the studio saying, "What? No military?" No. Sorry.
He's come all this way.
He's come all this way, I know.
I mean, if it's bad enough that it's grey outside, we don't have to have grey on the show, do we?
But back to the story, just a quick note on the aircraft itself. The actual, a lot of people know, Norwegian do have iconic characters painted on their aircraft, and this one had an actual painting on there of Amy Johnson, who was the first female pilot to fly solo from the UK to Australia in 1930. It's a quite nice story. So moving on to the next story, number 2. Matt, this is for you, and as always, he's ready, poised like a coiled cobra, ready to go. And I'm going to keep this running until he's ready. So he's ready for story number 2.
Indeed. I can't do this and the cameras at the same time.
You've only got one to read, don't worry.
That's all right, that's fine. Oh, now I've got one of those blocker things just come. Oh, right, sorry. Oh, so story number 2, surprise, surprise. This will come as a terrible surprise to everyone. Story number 2 is a Ryanair story, everyone.
Hey!
Very good, yes. So this is on the Independent website, and the headline is Ryanair flight diverted to remove drunk Irish couple.
But wait, isn't that an oxymoron?
I think you might be right there. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway.
I'm Irish, I can say that.
You don't sound very Irish.
Are you one of these 1/8 Irish where, it's like every American is convinced that they're Irish at some point?
No, I even have a passport to prove it. Which will actually be really fun when I go to leave, because I entered the UK on my Irish passport and I have to leave on my American one. So when they don't match up, I can't wait for this.
That sounds like a real challenge. Yeah, absolutely. sounds like good luck with that. Anyway, going on to the story. So a Ryanair flight from Alicante to Dublin had to be diverted to remove 2 disruptive passengers. The flight on the 10th of January made an unscheduled stop to Santander just before 4 p.m. Isn't that a bank, Santander? Sorry. And before 4 p.m. in order for the unnamed couple in their 50s to be removed. I'm so sorry, this is why I don't drink beer. One moment. Diverted to Santander after 2 passengers became disruptive in flight, a Ryanair spokesman told The Independent. The aircraft landed normally and the passengers were removed and detained by police upon arrival before the aircraft continued to Dublin. We will not tolerate unruly or disruptive behaviour at any time, and the safety and comfort of our customers, crew and aircraft is our number 1 priority. This is now a matter for local police. Once the aircraft landed at the the airport in Santander, the civil guard officers were waiting to escort them from the plane to formally identify them. The pair were not arrested, but likely to face a hefty fine for causing the incident. The pilot asked us to attend because he didn't want 2 people who were on the plane and being aggressive to continue their journey. A spokesman for the Civil Guard in Cantabria told the Mail online. See, I never really understand these stories. It's like I'm reading a story from the Independent website, which the Independent newspaper. You're right there. Oh dear. Oh, they're not happy. No, they're sulking. We've got two people. They've gone in the sim. They have no interest in the sim. But I never understand why the Independent is reporting on a story that the Mail newspaper has printed, because they're both publications. Surely they have to have their own. Do
they have the same owners or something? Is that?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, budget cutbacks.
Yeah, possibly.
And on the note of this story, Matt, I don't know whether you can bring up the picture of this, which is on the head of this story, the top of the story, whether you can bring up that picture or not.
What's going on
There's a
here?
slight pictorial issue with the photo they've used for this story.
There you go. It's up on YouTube.
On
now.
YouTube, very good. And I don't know if anyone in the outside in the front lounge area can see a slight problem with the photo they've used for this story regarding Ryanair, because last thing I knew, the 737-800 was not powered by Pratt & Whitney JT8D engines.
Oh no.
No,
I don't
Jeff?
think so. No?
No.
Stock.
But that is a fine engine.
That is a fine engine. It's a fine engine, and they're fine aircraft, obviously. But the 737-200, which is what that is, was
The lead
used
sled.
was used by Ryanair many, many years ago. It's a shame they couldn't have found a newer photo.
Yeah, and Carlos, there aren't any winglets on it either, right?
No, very true as well, Brian. Yeah, very true. They obviously forgot to ring Dan Hannington before they done this story to get a proper photo. Yeah. So moving on to the next story, and Nev.
Yeah, this is on the Bloomberg website. And just before I start, can I just say some of the worst piece of journalism I have ever read out in my life? It is shocking. But anyway, I'm going to give it a go nonetheless. And it says that Airbus is in talks to sell new 380 jumbo planes to British Airways this year after securing a programme-saving deal from Persian Gulf operator Emirates, according to people familiar with the matter. The UK carrier, which currently has 12 A380s in its fleet, said in the past that it was looking for 6 to 7 second-hand A380s. Now it's considering taking a larger number of new ones, said the people, who asked not to be named before because the discussions are private.
This sounds like a conversation in a pub, doesn't it?
Extraordinary, isn't it? Airbus's outgoing head of sales, John Leahy, said on Bloomberg Television Friday he was confident that the European plane maker would secure one more A380 order this year. That customer is British Airways, the people said. Airbus, based in Toulouse, France, and BA parent company IAG SA declined to comment. British Airways is interested in the Super Jumbo because of the jet's ability to maximise the number of passengers per flight at its London Heathrow hub, which is running close to capacity limits. The carrier's main focus is on the North Atlantic routes that are amongst the world's busiest long-haul services, and it ranks as the number one operator of Boeing's 747 Jumbo, the second biggest passenger plane after the A380. And BA is examining a deal for new planes after concluding that refurbishing used examples of the Airbus behemoth for its own needs would be too expensive, one of the people said. The carrier's Super Jumbos are fitted out in a four-class configuration featuring 469 seats, according to its website. And IAG CEO Willie Walsh has been mulling the business case for second-hand A380s for at least 2 years, with planes becoming available as the older ones come off lease from Singapore Airlines after a decade of service. Walsh also ran the rule over 6 younger aircraft deemed surplus to requirements at Malaysia Airlines. Well, that's all very interesting, but unfortunately, without any sources being revealed here, it's almost a bit of a non-story, isn't it?
It is a bit of a non-story. Sorry, Brian, you go ahead.
No.
But isn't it rather disappointing, Nev, that the UK's flag-carrying airline is buying second-hand aircraft at best? Surely BA should be going out and buying new aircraft and, setting the standard rather than just sweeping up other people's leftovers.
I think it's all about perhaps budget, isn't it? And obviously the Singapore A380s are 10 years old now, and perhaps there was a very good deal being done that they couldn't resist.
Yeah, certainly with the used aircraft, Delta's done a fine job of being making those aircraft phenomenally profitable. So that makes sense to me, but do you really think that BA is going to pick up more A380s?
No, I don't think so. No.
I just see the death of that aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just hope that it continues to fly so I could actually fly in it, because it's one of the very few that I haven't been
Yeah,
in yet.
I'm the same,
looking forward to
actually.
that, but
Yes.
I just don't see it as being
Yeah, I
an
agree.
economical.
You don't
viable
see
aircraft.
United getting any 380s then?
Yeah, no, never.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. You heard it here first.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell. Moving swiftly on to the next story then. And Jeff, TSA, this is one for you.
This from KTSA 107.1 FM, 550 AM.
Coming in your ears.
KTSA, San Antonio. All right.
Have you considered a career in radio?
You
can sing the jingles at least.
No. Yeah. Interestingly enough, this is covered by KTSA, and it's about TSA. TV film crew arrested by TSA for intentionally bringing fake explosive to airport. A television crew, this was in Newark, New Jersey, television crew was arrested on Thursday after attempting to pass a suspicious item with all of the makings of an improvised explosive device through security at Newark Liberty International Airport. At least 7 individuals had been arrested by Port Authority police after Transportation Security Administration officers detected a suspicious item in a carry-on bag. A preliminary investigation revealed some members of the group carried the item through the security checkpoint, while others in the group covertly filmed the encounter. Their goal was to see whether or not the TSA would detect the item, which was concealed in a rolling bag. TSA officers did, in fact, detect it, and the film crew was arrested on multiple charges. And it looks like they are facing a possible civil penalty by TSA and can be charged over $13,000 per security violation. Brilliant!
Did someone forget to tell them that they were coming through with this bag, or it seems a bit silly to go through, especially with the security as it is. With I know the TSA can be quite energetic when it comes to security.
I think they were trying to test
They
the
did it
system, weren't they?
intentionally, it was intentional. They did it on purpose.
And it's obviously spectacularly backfired. And I guess a producer somewhere along the lines is going to get fired.
Yeah,
Probably
they're certainly
not.
not fessing up to it right now. That it was their idea.
Now they're going to get a promotion, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll just pay that
Yeah.
fine and carry on.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Personally, I've absolutely no sympathy. I hope they bang them in jail. I mean, the authorities, certainly in the UK, already do this. In the UK, the CAA regularly try and pass through suspect explosives and weapons through the security systems of our airports to test the system. They also secrete test devices on board aircraft to make sure the security searches in the aircraft are being done correctly. So to have some news crew try and John Wayne their way and replicate this, and final thing, they get caught, I think they should have the book thrown at them.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. That's
go.
very good. Can I just say, ladies and gents, if you are watching live on YouTube and you'd like to message the show during while we're doing this, send us a tweet using the hashtag #PTUK200, and when we get them, we'll put them up on screen and read them out. So hashtag PTUK200 if you want to send us a message. I notice some people have been doing that, and I've been popping them up while you've been reading the stories. But yeah, all very good. Hashtag PTUK200.
So next story then, Dr. Steph.
Sure, this is from the independent.co.uk, and the headline is New Ultra-Long-Haul Flight from Houston to Sydney launches. This is maybe of interest to Brian Coleman because it's his favorite airline. So United Flight 101 will take 17 hours and 30 minutes. The world's latest ultra-long-haul route is scheduled to take off from Houston on Friday evening, destination Sydney. United Airlines Flight 101 leaves at 8 p.m. for the 8,596-mile trip to Australia's largest city. It is 18 miles longer than the existing Qantas route from Dallas to Sydney.
But who's counting?
Yeah, I got to get those extra 18 miles in there. Just be a tiny bit further. So the new flight is scheduled for 17 hours, 30 minutes. The plane arrives at 6:30 a.m. local time, 2 days after leaving Houston, with 1 day lost because of the international dateline. But on the return journey, passengers will arrive 75 minutes before they set off local time. Departure at 11:50 a.m., arrival at 10:35 a.m. the same day. The most direct route is almost all oceanic after crossing the Rio Grande from Texas and traversing northern Mexico. The Boeing 787 will clip the tip of the Baja Peninsula and begin the Pacific crossing, passing close to Tonga before making landfall over Sydney. Airlines President Scott Kirby said, "We are demonstrating United's commitment to our customers who call Houston home, as well as the millions of customers who connect through Houston each year." Mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner, said, "We are looking forward to visiting Sydney and welcoming our Australian visitors with open arms to Texas." So this is actually only United's second longest route. It's beaten by the 8,770-mile Los Angeles to Singapore link that they launched in October 2017. And together with its service from San Francisco to Singapore, which is 8,447 miles, United will fly the 3 longest flights by a U.S. carrier.
Yay, United.
Yay. So they look forward to having you on all of their ultra long haul flights in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I've done the San Francisco Singapore flight, and I've also recently done the Los Angeles Singapore flight.
So all you need is the Houston to Sydney.
I know, and I will have the triple. Yeah.
All right. Did they give you some sort of special badge or probably not?
No.
No.
No, they just take my money and say thank you very much.
No extra frequent flyer miles earned for that, I suppose.
They'll probably give him a rubber ring to sit on with all those pressure sores, I would have thought.
Actually, Brian, you flew over here to the UK with United on the Dreamliner.
I did.
And how was your flight?
Yeah, on the Dash 9. I was fortunate enough to have been upgraded, so I was in business class, and I had my flight of wine sample. I took an Ambien, and the next thing I know, we were landing. So I really have no idea how it was.
So you had all the luxury, and
I slept the entire
time.
Yeah.
So basically, on next week's show, we'll be running the news story of this American who took the Ambien, took all his clothes off, wandered around the cabin of a United flight.
Quite possibly.
We'll look out for that one in next week's show. So moving on to the next story, Captain Nick. This one's for you.
Well, this is great. Don't the Metro find some fantastic stories?
I must say, this story is absolute shameful story.
Yes. Okay, so airline tightens up pet rules after excessive pooping on planes. We just love it. So this is some fly-by-night outfit. I think they work in the States. It's Delta Airlines. Has been forced to toughen up its rules for owners of animals that fly after complaints of mile-high pooping. Perhaps the Mile High Club should definitely have been left out of that since it's an animal story. Steady, Al. The company says grievances about animals biting or peeing or pooping have nearly double poops since 2016. So starting on March the 1st, Delta will require owners to show proof of their animal's health or vaccinations at least 48 hours before a flight. Owners of psychiatric I've had a beer. Service animals. How do you service a psychiatric? Interesting. Psychiatric service animals and so-called I'm doing air quotes here. So-called emotional support animals will need to sign a statement vouching that their animal can behave. But owners will be on the honour system, which means it will do absolutely nothing.
Sorry to interrupt you there. It's become desperate measures. Poor Jeff is so desperate for a drink that he's actually tweeted the hashtag PTUK200 requesting a beer. How rude!
Bingo beer.
So pick my story, won't you, while to deliver the beer. So owners will be on the honour system. They won't have to show, for example, that their dog graduated from college or an obedience school. Delta's policy change arrives with the number of animals in the cabin increasing. John Laughter, the airline's senior vice president, he isn't really called that, is he?
What a funny name.
Oh my God, yes. Oh dear. And Vice President of Safety and Security said there are insufficient rules in place to screen animals for health and behaviour issues. He said that Delta sought a balance that supports those customers with a legitimate need for these animals whilst maintaining safety. Delta's new rules are aimed at two categories: service animals, which receive special training, and they're the kind of genuine animals that we all appreciate having on the flight deck. Sorry, on the in the cabin, because they're usually seeing eye or blind dogs, as we say in the UK, or sort of dogs for disabled people, disabled servicemen, that sort of thing. So they're great. And so-called, more air quotes, emotional support animals, which require no training at all. Both fly for free and are not required to be caged during the flight. The emotional support group has been growing rapidly, and it's the target of most of the new Delta's procedures. Last June, a £70, that's quite cheap really, isn't it, 70 quid? A £70, that would be 30 odd kilos. It's quite a big dog. Flying as a support animal, bit another passenger several times in the face on a Delta plane in Atlanta. Last time I'm going there.
I've just had a fantastic idea for a real wind-up, Nick.
Go on,
You
then.
and I are going to go out to the States and we're going to go and buy an elephant. And we're going to take it along to the airport and say that we need it for emotional support. And
We
we're going to
do.
see how it goes.
Absolutely. I think the answer would probably be, well, if you can get it through the aircraft door.
Yeah, where are you going to get the vest for the elephant, though? That's going to be fun
I think
putting
you have
that
to
on.
Well,
like
have to
knit it
dress
or
it.
crochet it yourself, right?
Yeah,
A bit
absolutely.
of gaffer tape will do, a bit of duct tape round it, there you go.
Exactly right. Now, that would be a great idea, but I think a giraffe might be more fun. Anyway, the victim was taken to hospital.
Look, I've seen how United handle, guitars, so I mean, there's a fair chance that the giraffe's not going to make it either, is there?
It
And
could be right.
doctors.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, I don't know if Matt can manage to get the picture, the duck, up on the screen, but for those of you who can see it, here is Daniel, the emotional support duck, in his red-shoed glory. So he's got little red shoes on. I don't see his Dayglow emotional support. He's got some kind of a badge on his chest, but I can just see what fun that would be. I'm sure people would just do it for sport, to see what obscure animal they can get on. So a duck's pretty good, but I've heard of emotional support turkeys, alligators, snakes. Becomes a worry eventually, doesn't it? Federal regulations have interpreted that a 1986 access to travel law to allow support animals in airplane cabins and in apartment buildings, there's no difference at all really, that do not allow pets. So they've created, that has created a cottage industry of online companies that help people help people establish their pet as an emotional support animal. The classification spares the owner from hefty airline charges and obviously the necessary safety aspect of putting an animal quite correctly in the aircraft hold rather than having it wandering around free in the cabin. That's me saying that. Airlines must allow support animals in the cabin, although they can require owners to present a letter from a doctor or other medical provider who can vouch that the human traveller is helped by having the animal there.
We're okay on that one, Nick. We've got a doctor on board. We
Well, I was
just
just
need
going
the
to say,
elephant.
Dr. Steph will actually provide those letters,
No.
50 quid a go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you have to pay in advance.
What we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll give Steph one of Brian's Ambience and we'll get her to sign the letter later on and we'll be fine.
So Delta will now ask to see those letters 48 hours in advance. Delta, the second biggest US airline by revenue, says it transports about 700 service and support animals every day. That's nearly 250,000 a year. More than 2/3 are emotional support animals. That does not include animals for which owners pay a fee to keep in a carrier under their seats during the flight. Although exact figures aren't available, airline employees say dogs and cats are the most common on planes, but there have been sightings of pigs, snakes, and turkeys, although most of the turkeys are on the flight deck.
Ba-bum-ts. I actually quite like the picture on here. I love the emojis that they've used on that particular photo. It's quite good there, very good. But honest, Jeff, being a pilot over in the US with the airline you fly for, have you seen any of these weird and wonderful pets?
I haven't seen the odd ones, but I've seen a lot of mostly dogs and cats. Yeah.
Yeah, and
which is ridiculous.
Do you think if you asked Acme if you could bring your pet on board, would that be...
Well, no, I mean, if you've seen the latest episode of the Airline Pilot Guy, airlinepilotguy.com, you'll note that the title of the show is Emotional Support First Officer. So I travel with emotional support personnel all the time.
How about Acme Red then, Nick? Do you allow emotional support animals with Acme Red?
No.
The
Are you suggesting that there's dogs on board?
Woof woof. The only, not my airline. The only animals that are allowed in the cabin area are genuine service animals, and they have to have been through the formal training that a blind dog would receive, or one of these assist dogs for a disabled person that has been properly trained and has been brought up to do this kind of a job, and not just somebody's pet who wants to cheat and not have to pay the fee of putting it in the hold.
I have to say, I'm happy to see an airline like Delta finally putting their foot down and saying, okay, this is enough. I think they were waiting for, some legislation or some kind of rulemaking to take place, and they finally said, okay, forget it. We're going to go ahead and just, put these additional requirements on and just stop all this nonsense.
Yeah, I think you as pilots take enough shameless things that you don't need this kind of thing on board.
I went a really funny cully there for a minute.
I've done that deliberately.
Where's the family show?
Shame on you.
I wonder if we should throw this to our wonderful panel that are all in the front room there. If Owen could grab the microphone and let's get to... you'll have to speak really firmly into the microphone because I'm afraid it's not working as well as we'd hoped. But guys, I wonder if anybody could put their hand up if they've got any idea that they'd like to... Any comments they'd like to add in regard to emotional support animals.
Without using the word pussy at any point.
Stop it! Yeah, no, absolutely nothing, look. Not even...
Hand up from anyone now?
Does anyone have an elephant in the green room?
Is anybody awake in the green room?
No.
I would love to be cabin crew with a plane full of animals, because they would probably behave a lot better than people. What do you think, Owen?
Yeah, maybe
We wouldn't get any drunks on board.
That might be an idea. Have an airline just for animals?
Yeah.
Maybe.
An airline just for animals? Now there's a
Actually,
thought.
they wouldn't bother me at all. I'd love to have a dog sitting next to me.
I think Pip,
Or a turkey.
I think that you've taken just animals on board.
Yeah, we regularly take dogs and things. They're pretty well behaved. I got bitten once by a dog on board, but that's okay. Where's the camera? Come over here, camera.
We don't need to see where you were bitten, Pip. That's just too much.
I wanted to show everyone in the chat room the PTUK beer. Have you guys seen this? Brewed by Matt Caton. Where is he? There he is over there. Hello. This is an excellent beer. Thoroughly enjoying this. Wish everyone in the chat room could have a little swig. Captain Al.
Yes?
I think we'd all like to hear the story about the EasyJet 737 model and what you did with it and where you put it.
Family show, everyone. Family show.
Where's Jeff with the soundboard?
I know. You don't need the soundboard for that one. I'm right here.
He's here.
Sorry.
Matt's here. Don't panic.
Indeed.
Anyway.
Yes.
Well, any more from the front room on in regards to pets? Are we all petted out?
I mean, it's a crazy situation, really, isn't it? I mean, it started out as a good idea, but it's just evolved into complete and utter nonsense. And unfortunately, and I'm not having a go at the Americans, it's a wonderful country, as many people know. I visit there on vacation many times a year, and it's a lovely country to visit, but there appears to be no common sense at play in legislation. So you write a piece of
that's
legislation.
a problem. It's
No
common sense
comment.
isn't common.
Yeah, and I'm quite serious that someone could turn up with an emotional support elephant. What the hell is the airline going to do? How can it handle that
Weight
situation?
and balance.
Well, weight and balance, yeah. How would you get an elephant on the scales?
I mean, even if you take a baby elephant, it's got to weigh, I don't know, half a ton or something. So, I mean, it's just an absolute nonsense. And I'm glad, as Jeff said, that, one or two of the airlines are saying, right, enough is enough. If you need an emotional support animal this much, go by car.
Or can I recommend an excellent service known as Flight Fare Solutions? They're quite good at sort of
Just give them a
helping
plug.
elephants get
Free
on aeroplanes.
advertising.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's just me.
Well, I just hope that no one decides to take some emotional support fleas on board the aircraft. Otherwise,
Someone took bed bugs as emotional support.
Yeah.
That's enough about BA.
That was a BA
Moving
flight,
on.
actually.
Yeah.
Nev. I think
Cockroaches, they're another favourite.
Yeah.
Trouble is, they leave them on board.
I mean, I have had coming back from somewhere in the Caribbean, arriving into Cardiff in Wales, and when the baggage handlers opened up the hold, some snakes came out of the hold, and that caused quite a bit of chaos and carnage, because no one knew what the snakes were, whether they were poisonous or not, and they had to try and catch them to identify them, and obviously no one would go near the aeroplane and it just went on and on and on. The aeroplane was on the ground for a day whilst they dealt with this. So it's
You mean that the insecticide spray that they put into the cargo hold before takeoff didn't work on the snakes?
Well, it just killed the insects, and the snakes were able to clean up easily.
Yeah, they had a field day, right? They were like, ooh, well fed on this flight.
I love it.
So, moving on from that shocking story, we'll go on to Brian.
So, The Lonely Planet has a story about an airline passenger who was refused boarding for wearing too much clothing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it happens the other way. In this particular case, this gentleman had too much on. So, airline passenger was dismayed to be refused travel on 2 planes.
Ever the professional, eh, Jeff? You can pay the royalties for that one.
There's websites that have sound. This plane. I'm sorry.
So, Brian, you're wearing clothes.
Yeah. how novel. Yeah, so, but he was refused travel on 2 planes after turning. Don't you take one flight at a time? I'm confused over how he was refused 2 planes.
Continue reading. I think they will explain how this happened.
It
Because
turned
it was
up-
2 consecutive attempts at flying with this much clothing.
There you go. See, had I read the show notes ahead of time, I
Had
probably
you
would have
listened to
known
the most
this.
recent airline pilot guy, you might also be familiar with the story.
If your shows weren't 3 hours each, I wouldn't be 6 months behind in listening to them.
There's a continuing theme here, isn't it? More and more people are seemingly not listening to the airline pilot.
Oh, dear. No, but soon you were going to get my Christmas feedback.
Okay, yeah, I will get to it in July. Don't worry.
Scratches feedback.
Already taken care of.
Okay, so the guy turns up at check-in wearing 10 shirts and 8 pair of pants. So Ryan Carney Williams was traveling from Iceland to London. He was preparing for the weather, I guess. And he made his decision to wear all of his clothes to avoid paying a checked baggage fee of £90. How nice. So, and he attempted to check in for his BA flight at, I can never pronounce this word. Keflavik, which is near Reykjavik.
Yep.
And the passenger who designs and sells clothes under the name Ryan Hawaii.
That's Mr. Hawaii.
Apparently, yeah, he was refused boarding. I'm sorry, I keep giggling through this.
So
Must
he
be the
designed his
IPA.
own clothes, is that right?
Yeah, he apparently designed his own clothes and decided to wear
So
all
this
of them.
wouldn't at all be an attempt to get publicity for his clothes designing business?
Only if people talked about it, I guess. Yeah. So, and he took to Twitter to complain. Go figure. Yeah. So I think he might have achieved his goal of some publicity there. And yeah.
He's famous. But there was a
Yeah.
BA flight. I'm guessing, Nev, that you generally tend to travel in just a shirt and tie and trousers rather than 5 jumpers, 6 shirts and...
Yeah, a bone dome and a pressure suit.
Yeah.
Which
Well, on BA, I'm not surprised.
well, I thought I'd just feed you the line.
Thanks, man.
I like the next bit. So, a spokeswoman from BA subsequently explained why the decision decision had been taken to deny Ryan boarding. The decision to deny boarding was absolutely not based on race. How does that even come into the equation?
I think he tried to claim that first.
He played the race
He played
card.
the-
Racial profiling.
Yeah, okay. Jeez.
It's a crazy world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah, from ducks to too much clothing. This is just absolutely insane.
Hey, it's PTUK 200. What can I say?
All right, are we done with this one?
Apparently so.
Apparently so. Okay.
I'm done with it.
Well, when we did the show, I liked the bit about the passenger who had tried to go from Glasgow to London on a flight with 12 sets of clothes, and he had a problem because he fainted during the flight.
What, from
Exactly
overheating?
right.
Yeah.
And they had to call
it's a
medical
safety
staff
thing.
to get him off the airplane and make sure he was all right when he got to London.
And I think this guy, Mr. Hollywood, actually was refused boarding on a second flight on a different airline for the same
And
reason.
that's absolutely true. And as it so happens, by the virtue of technology, we're not going to name any names here, but many people around this table and many of the listeners will actually know the captain of the second airline who refused him travel.
That was clever. I like that. Hey, can we all have an echo?
Okay, who's been putting funny stuff in the beer?
I can test. Oh, it's stopped now. What a shame. Because I was just going to test that thing where a duck quack won't echo.
Oh,
No, it doesn't
okay.
echo.
Okay. And
The feed has gone apparently in the other room.
so are we still live?
We're
or-
still live, yeah.
Okay,
Still
all
very
right.
much live.
So
Okay.
who was it? Come on, spill
So
the
as a
beans.
captain, are you allowed to
No,
say
I'm
or-
not going to say because it's not appropriate, but it's someone who's well
Give me a
known to the
clue.
podcasting community, and the individual who was attempting to travel made a bit of a fuss, and he ended up getting arrested and maced. So quite clearly, his £90 saving strategy is going to cost him a lot more in legal fees and so forth. So
Yeah, it's all fun and games till you get maced in the face.
I love it.
I mean, I've never seen anyone maced. I have witnessed someone being tasered, and it was good entertainment, I have to say.
You know, in Iceland, do they use the maces that are just a spray, or are the old-fashioned medieval ones that are
Oh, well, yes,
an
I mean,
iron
yeah.
bar with a big ball on
Well,
it? Whack!
quite possibly in Iceland, the latter. But I mean, when all said and done, you know, the people who try to beat the system, some will be successful and some will fail spectacularly. And if you try it once and fail, generally speaking, in life, you're probably best off just quitting whilst you're at that point and handing over the £90 and just going with it. Because how much did your second flight cost?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, BA are foolishly giving him a refund, but there you go.
Well. But I mean, if you're trying to do this at home, folks, don't. It's just not going to work. You're going to try to beat the system, and in this particular case, you're going to end up in an Icelandic prison cell with a bit of a stingy face.
Yeah, I want to know how he got 10 pairs of shoes on. I mean, seriously, you can
Incremental sizes.
You end up looking like
all of his
Beppo the Clown.
You know, he was out designing his outfits apparently, so he just designed them all to go with the same pair of shoes.
Yeah.
So he didn't need the 10.
Yeah, were they color coordinated?
Yeah.
He cheated.
Yeah. Well, what is sad about this story is that his emotional support duck was allowed to travel,
Without him.
and the duck is heartbroken because he now finds himself in London all alone.
Exactly right, with just his red shoes on.
Yeah. So
So now the duck needs an emotional support animal.
So moving on then, Captain Al. The next story is one for you.
yeah, I seem to have got lumbered with the sad story, don't I? So you know, do we have any sort of violins and
That was
some
a technical step too far.
Right, okay. So this comes from the Daily Mail travel section, and the headline reads, aeroplane seats for £1,333 and branded chocolates for £195. Air Berlin is selling off its entire stock after going bankrupt with £700 million debt. Just scrolling through the adverts. Oh, one's for the Premier Inn. Oh, what a marvellous facility. Not quite as good as Hilton, but nonetheless. The carrier was once Germany's second biggest airline after Lufthansa, and was even a member of the One World Airline Alliance, spearheaded by British Airways. But after years of losses, Air Berlin was first to declare insolvency in August, before it ceased operations at the end of October with almost £700 million worth of debt. And now, trying to recoup some of the cash owed, German authorities instructed auction house Dachau to sell off as much of the Air Berlin stock as possible for the highest price. Until February the 2nd, items such as life jackets, blankets, aeroplane models, and even trolleys used by the flight attendants are being sold to the highest bidder.
Sorry, I missed that. Were you saying the flight attendants were trolleyed?
Well, yeah, and they're being sold off.
Oh, wow.
I'd imagine a few of them are a bit used. The story continues. Among the lots is a double business class seat made out of blue leather, which had a reserve price of £133, but now has bids as high as £1,333. Entire batches of Air Berlin chocolate hearts, which were traditionally handed out to passengers at the end of the flight, are also being auctioned. Those with a sweet tooth can also buy 2 kilos of the confectionery made by Lindt, with current bids at £195. Meanwhile, a batch of 10 metal suitcases full of children's toys are going for £134. And it actually says a smart cat. This just goes to show how much the Daily Mail do their proofreading. It's actually a smart car, folks. In the Air Berlin colours, already has a bid of £3,377. However, one of the most expensive items is a giant Air Berlin branded Airbus A320 scale model, which has bids topping £5,333. Probably the technique to winning the auctions is to bid something ending in 4, because just about everything seems to be going for something and 3. Toki Branksy of Dachau Auction House said, "We are very content. The rush on the first day has surprised us." Well, that was quite an emotive statement, wasn't it? But it's very sad to see Air Berlin go. There seems to be too many airlines folding just at the moment. And indeed, my former airline, if anybody listening has any interest, they're also, or the administrators are auctioning off just about everything. And I think the online auction takes place on the 28th of this month. Don't quote me on that. It's not facts that I have to hand. But they're auctioning off, everything that is available to be sold, including computer monitors and branded items and not.
Well, it would be nice to think that those funds would be going to recompense the employees that lost their jobs and are still owed money. But
I sincerely hope so. I sincerely hope so. Unfortunately, I would imagine a lot of the money that is raised is going to pay the administrators' fees.
Yeah. Looking at the pictures on the story, these seats on here, the business class seats, if you had a kind of a large lounge room and you wanted to make a really cool cinema, these would be a good addition.
Why would you need a large lounge room? Aeroplanes are quite small. You could actually supposedly get them in a small lounge room.
Okay, a small lounge room then. Yeah, okay. But these seats are awesome. I might pick up some of these for the van.
Ah, they'd be good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I thought the smart car was kind of fun.
Smart cat.
Smart cat.
Smart
Yes,
cat.
I'd like a smart cat.
I want one of those smart cats.
And I think
smart dogs can change. Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
There's like 10 of them going in the sim
No,
now.
it's my brother who's going to fly the sim, so I'm very excited to watch this. That might be a little distracting.
Dr. Steph's brothers are going in the sim.
You can, oh no, you can't see it. I can.
I just noticed that Paul, the instructor, was just sort of wagging his finger at Steph's brothers as if to say, "Don't break it, lads."
That's probably a wise thing for him to say to them. So.
But going back to the story, I want that model.
Okay.
It's probably going to upset the wife.
He's talking about a model
but
airplane.
The airplane, I know it's an Airbus, but I'll have that in the front garden.
I'm not quite sure if I should tell this story or not, but when Monarch Airlines went out of business on the night of the 1st/2nd of October, the last people to leave the operations centre took the giant 787 model from the foyer out to the car park, shoved it in the back of their car and drove for home.
Excellent. They're worth thousands.
Yes, they are. It's probably
Extremely
about
expensive.
I don't know what scale it is, but it's about 6 foot long. The model is.
Good Lord.
And it
Brilliant.
obviously was given to the airline when they placed the order for the aircraft. So I'm not quite sure where it is these days, but
I'll be checking eBay later. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there was a lot of stuff that went on eBay shortly after the demise of the airline.
the joint account may get a hammering.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, before I get divorced, moving on to the next story. Where are we? Oh, I forgot what we're up to now. This is back to me.
Have you not read the show notes?
No, I haven't read the show notes at all.
Whose show is this?
Yeah, who knows?
Have you got this story up? No,
I have.
No.
If
Oh,
the
go
Pope
on.
flies on an airplane? No.
Is the Pope a Catholic?
What is the next story?
Really?
It's Pope Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got it down
Marrying
this
the
end of the
apple on
table.
Chile
'cause
pie.
I actually
Yeah,
sent that as a broken link yesterday, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm having trouble bringing it up.
Brian and I are organised. We
Yeah.
you know.
Brian,
I've got it.
why don't you take? Because you
Yeah,
actually
you go.
found this story last
Yeah.
night, Brian.
No, well. Yes, but this is just mean of you to make me read this.
I know.
So, and this is from BBC News. Pope Francis marries a couple on Chile flight.
What was the air conditioning
It
broken?
was cold, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well, it was a Boeing, wasn't it? So quite clearly, you know, it's
Perhaps they had to do
archaic
something to keep
temperature control.
warm.
Doesn't the Pope know that he can't get married?
Cue sound effects.
And wouldn't it be a three ship if he married a couple? That would be really weird.
So, Paula somebody Ruiz and Carlos somebody or other, 41.
Oh, and now I understand why you're trying to palm the story off onto me.
Exactly.
It's
I've
Paula Podcast Ruiz. Have you seen that? It's a great name.
Paula podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they had been married earlier in civil service, but asked Pope to. He only blessed their marriage. He didn't even marry them.
Not the full ceremony on board.
Apparently not. It's
I mean, you've got an aisle to walk down.
Oh, very good. Yes. Well, if you've got a twin aisle, which aisle do you walk round?
Oh, you see, now you've got one either side.
Yeah, one on each
yes,
side.
right.
Yeah,
Wait
and you
for
meet in
each
the
other.
galley. yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. So anyway, it says, "Do you want me to marry you?" The Pope apparently asked. Who would say no
I mean,
to that?
I just can't imagine the Pope just saying, "You all right there? Do you want me to marry you?"
A Buddhist might not want the Pope to marry them.
I think he probably worded it slightly
A
different to
Muslim.
that.
I wonder if he charged a fee. You know, whether just cash is fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. No paperwork.
Good luck with the lawyers on that one.
Yeah, so the couple said they were unable to conduct a ceremony in their church in the Chilean capital Santiago after it was damaged in an earthquake in 2010. Pope Francis suggested he perform a brief ceremony on the short flight from Santiago to the city of something else in northern Chile. So I'm just not good with these names. He carried out a Catholic wedding service for the couple.
Well, that's a relief.
Yeah, because if it was a Buddhist ceremony, that would have been
That would be
been really
strange.
weird.
It'd be a little different. Yeah.
right. So let's say it was winding up the airline's. What, the airline's boss as a witness?
Okay.
How
I think
cool-
it's I
That's
don't
neat
think, I
trick.
don't think this story is going very well. Shall we move on?
But no, I'm just impressed that they had the boss of the airline on this flight as well, flying with the Pope, and the Pope just so happened to marry them. I mean, how nice.
And they also had CBS News on board because a correspondent tweeted a photo of the document the Pope wrote, a handwritten religious marriage document on a single sheet of paper signed by bridegroom and witness. So I think it might have been a bit set up.
Do you
Yes,
think
it
this
does.
was
It does.
staged?
It does stink of being a setup, doesn't it? Really.
Perhaps
Still,
it-
I think it's rather nice. I mean, what a great idea. I think
I'm
it's,
surprised no one's taken this idea up and having ceremonies on board aircraft. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
On
Actually,
flights to
why don't
Vegas?
the captain
Yeah.
can do it?
think it
Surely.
happens from time
What do you
to
reckon,
time,
Captain
no?
Jeff? Can we perform marriages?
I don't think so.
Oh,
You
okay.
sure? Even
Well, if
over
you're in,
international
like,
borders,
the-
you couldn't. Could you be
Ordained
over?
in like the Universal Church of.
Even if the
whatever it
aircraft
is.
is ordained.
The aircraft is ordained.
And Captain Jeff, besides leaving the flight deck, why not? Because you can get married at sea, and the captain of a maritime vessel can
Yeah,
marry you.
yeah.
That's what I've heard, but I don't think it applies to ships in the sea, in the air.
Ships in the sky?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, actually. A wedding was conducted with the airline that I used to work for by the captain. In the airline that I now work for, which we shall not name, it's actually strictly prohibited to conduct weddings on board.
They've actually written it in the ops manual.
So there's a policy.
You will not perform weddings.
Yes, we prefer that you fly the airplane.
But it was just when you join a new airline, you look through the operations manual, and it was just there in black and white. You shall not.
Does it say you can't perform christenings or funerals?
No, it's just specifically related to weddings, and what it actually says is commanders shall not perform wedding blessings or ceremonies on board, or words to that effect.
I love it.
Yeah.
Which actually means that at some point someone tried it. I'd
Yes.
love to know the story.
It must have been the champagne toast that got them into trouble.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've done various functions on board. I've announced engagements and done that sort of thing.
I don't want to know about your functions on board the airplane.
Was there any prohibition against streaking down the aisles?
Well, no.
Probably not.
I've got fairly
Next
close to
week
having a
we'll
berth
learn
on
about
board,
new
but we managed to
prohibitions.
avert that one by getting
What, champagne cork?
Yeah, well, yeah. A lady gave birth about an hour and a half after getting off the aircraft, so it was quite a
wow.
close thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've had a few babies on board.
Yeah.
It's common between Lagos and London for ladies of a certain
Lagos.
length of pregnancy to try and get to London to give birth, and they will sometimes appear with perhaps not quite the right paperwork for their length of pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, my wife wasn't overly impressed with the idea of spending the last few weeks of her pregnancy in McDonald's so that we could get free chicken nuggets if my son was born there.
Nice one.
Is that a thing?
You're still married?
Last time I checked.
Okay, good.
So the next story, and the penultimate story, is on the Business Traveller site, and well, it's one for Nick and Al, actually. Obviously, because Nick's counting down the minutes to when he's, well,
I think he's even got it down to the
Or
seconds.
counting down the days.
Minutes are hard to keep track.
So when Nick does eventually retire from Acme Red,
596, by the way.
okay, we could all treat him to an Airbus aircrafts, because Airbus have published their 2018 aircraft price lists. So for those of you guys and girls in the chat room and around the world who maybe have a few pounds laying in the back or a few dollars in the back of your sofa or somewhere, you could treat yourself to a new Airbus. They've released the average list prices for the range of aircraft for 2018, which have increased by 2% across the product line. So at the lower end of the scale, an A318 will set you back a $77.4 million US, followed by the Airbus A319 at $92.3 million US. The A320, one of the more popular Airbus, you can get one of those for $101 million. The A319 Neo, $101.5 million. And if you fancy the new re-engined A320 Neo, you can snap one of those up for $110.6 million. If you fancy something bigger, insert the "that's what she said" here. The A321, the A321, you can get one of those for $118.3 million, with the A321 Neo at $129.5 million. So if you fancy something a bit bigger, again,
words that you've heard quite often, isn't it?
That's what she said. Wide-bodied options for the A330-200. You can pick one of those up for $238.5 million. The A330-300 is a little bit more expensive, $264 million. But if you want to push the boat out really and go for the A380, you can pick up an A380 brand new from Airbus just for $445.6 million.
So I'd be really stoked to find that amount of cash laying around in my couch, like beneath the cushions. That'd be awesome.
Do you have a big sofa, Steph?
No.
So the coffee cadre hasn't coughed up that much.
We're getting
money?
close, but
Yeah,
not.
close.
The problem is we can't decide whether to buy some crap old Boeing or a decent
little bit of an
Airbus.
internal debate at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it has caused a lot of dissension in the ranks.
So, well, there we go. So it's noted, should be noted that a few airlines not very often pay the list price for aircraft. Large orders.
Didn't.
Yeah. They obviously, when airlines buy aircraft in bulk, they get a group discount. And the commenting on the list, John Leahy, Chief Operating Officer Customers, Airbus Commercial, said that our new 2018 pricing reflects Airbus's continuous investments into its aircraft programs to maximise their value for the customer's satisfaction with the winning combination of performance, operating economics and passenger experience. So if anyone's looking at buying, as I said, Captain Nick, a retirement present, we can start the crowdfunding or the funding page now.
Well, first off, the mic in the chat room says that you can pick up a second-hand E346 under about 20 million, which would be
that's
cheap.
not too bad.
So I
I
quite
think
like
we
one
can
of
afford
those
that.
things. We could.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, with the group discount, though, if we combine all the podcasts, do you think we could just get a fleet that way and
but
get
I
a
want it on the
discount?
weekends, okay, guys?
I think we'll definitely have to leave Dr. Steph to wrap the aircraft, because we all know that us guys are pretty rubbish when it comes to wrapping presents.
That's probably
You haven't
true.
seen me wrap a Christmas present yet, obviously.
Pretty rubbish.
It's not good.
So the last story then. Who wants to take the this last story?
Wait, Carlos, I just
Yeah.
wanted to point out that Dr. Steph's brother did not crash. So
Okay.
well
Successful
done.
landing of the aircraft.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Yeah. Actually, on a runway. So.
Which just
On the
goes to
center
show
line, too.
how easy it is to flow a Boeing.
This coming from an Airbus guy? Seriously?
I will say, I think my brother here that was flying just now did spend quite a lot of time as a child flying Microsoft Flight Simulators. So
I'd like to do this last story, by the way.
Evan?
I'd like to do the last story.
Go on then, Nick.
So this
last
is all
story.
about Boeing, who have raised their commercial jet
How could
prices
you let
by
him do this,
4.1%. That is more than twice the... Oh, it's gone again.
Nurse, it's happening again.
Wait, it's your chance to do the duck.
Yeah, which is more than twice that Airbus have raised their prices. So don't even think about going there, guys. It's not worth it. So earlier this week, Boeing raised prices on its commercial jets. Unlike rival Airbus, the company did not make an announcement of the change. They were trying to hope no one would notice. Boeing kept its price list unchanged for 2 years, apparently, before suddenly slamming the prices up across the board last year. For 2017, the price increase is 4.1% for every aircraft, whereas Airbus only raised their prices by 2%. There are a few odd things about the price list, so be careful out there, airplane buyers. For example, the company's 767-300 remains on the list with a new higher price, even though Boeing hasn't produced one for several years, because they're useless and no one wants any. The even older 777-200 also remains on the price list, and Boeing hasn't built one of those for like ever. The only addition to the list is the 737 MAX. Is MAX here? MAX 10. That Boeing introduced at the Paris Air Show last year. No airplanes were deleted from the list from 2017. Here's the full 2018 Boeing price list. Do you really want me to do the whole list? No.
Maybe just a couple of
Only
Can I do a
the more
couple?
important
Okay.
Yeah, just-
On
just
the
the
cheap
notable.
end is the 1950s style 737 at 85.8 million, and you can go up to the 1965 style 737 MAX 10 for 129.9 million. First time offered. Get in quick, guys. It won't hold at this price for long. On the 747 family, well, golly, they're still building those. They gave up ages ago. The 747-8, 402.9 million. Gotta be joking.
Why on earth would you bother?
I don't know. So 76, yeah, they still want to sell you an airplane that they haven't made for like 6 years for 212.2 million. And a 777, which again they haven't sold for ages. They want you to spend 425.8 million on one. Give me a break. However, the bin liner, I noticed the bin liners quite cheap, probably because everyone's frightened that they won't fly for very long. 239 million for the Dash 8, exactly, and for the Dash 10, 325.8 million. So they're going cheap. After all, they're only plastic, so that's fine. Also, read the world's 50 most innovative companies. No thanks. So they say they're building. This is an interesting one. The KC-46A tanker. It's based on the 76-2C.
It's important to pass gas.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is a nice Boeing story. Boeing's order book shows 38 orders for the military version as of December. Boeing's shares dropped more than 3%. Well, I'm hardly surprised. On Thursday to close at 304.16 in a 52 range week of 157.29 to 352.23. Al will be interested in this because he gambles a lot. Shares traded up about 0.6 on Friday pre-market session at 342.2. The stock 12-month consensus price is 340.04.
There we go.
There ends the financial news.
You've done a really good job there, actually, Nick.
And Carlos, at the end of this story, there's a sponsored ad, and it says five bipolar signs that are easy to miss. For this crew, I just wonder if that was placed there on purpose or what.
Well, you'd have to be a little bit unstable if you were going to go and buy a Boeing, wouldn't you?
Well, Boeings are unstable, so they'd probably even themselves out, wouldn't they?
So Carlos, if you found a few $100 million down the back of your sofa, okay, and we appreciate that you would like to go and buy that piece of junk, the L1011, yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a few in the desert, yeah.
But let's be realistic and stick to modern technology. What would you go and buy?
Really, Jeff? Do you find this insulting?
Yes.
Yeah. What would I buy?
That's the idea,
right.
Guys.
So would something that you can currently go and buy new? Because why buy second?
New.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why buy second hand? If you've got the opportunity to go and buy something, yeah. So
anything?
Out of the current marketplace. So you got your Sukhoi, you got your Embraer, you've got your Boeing, you've got your Airbus, fantastic super product that you would quite clearly be mad to choose anything else. What do you go for?
Sticking to how much?
Well, let's just say that you happen to find. I mean, you're going to get 100? A deal. Well, let's just throw
100 million.
Let's just go $400 million down the back of the sofa.
$400 million on the list you could purchase.
Probably I would. I'd stick with the best, the 737-800.
There's one board every month.
Exactly, because you could buy more than one with them.
I mean, can I just point out here? That Ryanair use the 737-800, and it's very rarely you see them on Aviation Herald, a brilliant site by the way, with incidents involving
mechanical
serious
stuff.
Incidents.
Yeah, that's one operator. If you troll through the Aviation Herald for all of the other 737 operators, you will find many an occurrence.
Okay, but it's the choice. It's my choice.
So you found $400 million down the back of your sofa, and with that $400 million, you bought a 737-800
for every day of the week.
They're not underpants.
And then he would take the change and buy a flat in London.
No, Brian. No.
You would buy a 737, a 1940s technology aeroplane.
I don't think it was that modern.
Something that...
Not even a MAX 10. I'm surprised over the 800, though.
An 800?
I'm going to give you grief over that.
Oh, okay, Brian.
No, really, I will. Because the MAX 10's the only...
I think we all want to go at what airplane we buy. I'd love to hear what Jeff's going to buy.
Has to be in current
Jeff.
production.
I'm going to buy a big boat.
A flying boat? Because that's what I'd buy.
Catalina.
Yeah, Catalina. Wouldn't that be great? Or a Grumman Goose.
Current production.
Airliner?
Well, hang on. The
airliners
Ruskies
here.
have just... is it the Ruskies? No, the Chinese have just built a jet-powered flying boat. That'd be really cool. I mean, that's in current production.
I'll accept
Best
that.
of both
That's,
I think that'd be the coolest thing ever.
okay, good.
Dr. Steph?
That went down well.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't know?
It would be a Boeing product.
For goodness
She's so,
sake,
But I don't know
woman.
which
she's
one I
so
want.
good.
See, the
Probably
problem
a
is
777, to be
you'd have to
honest.
have a lot of money to pay for the fuel.
Yeah, the maintenance and all. That's,
Well, that's why
the
you
big
can't blow
one.
That's
all
why-
your
That's
money
why
on the
you don't
airplane.
buy
Well,
Boeing,
that's-
isn't it? I mean, for goodness sake.
Although, if we bought an Airbus, then we could invite anybody to come on in and fly it because anybody can.
Anyone can fly
That's
it,
very
exactly.
true. Absolutely, yeah. That'd be much more fun for your kids.
Yeah, just press the button.
Yeah.
Well, come on then, Brian. What choice is here? The choice?
I haven't flown in the A350 yet, so I can't say, but I am kind of partial to the 787 just because of the carbon fiber and
Kind of getting a Boeing feel here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the 9 abreast seating and all that stuff.
what
and
the
all
ten-
the engine failures.
What, the 10 that United's shoving in now?
Oh,
the
they're
10
putting
abreast?
10 abreast? Oh my God. It's going to be the most unpopular airplane in the world.
Yeah, but very profitable to fly, though. So
Yeah,
it depends.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
there
but this
you
is
go.
your aeroplane. You don't need to generate huge amounts of profit. This is, just something that your toy. For the
No,
day.
when I was in Las Vegas at the NBAA show and Boeing had the BBJ there, so
Yeah.
737, just the way that was outfitted was 10 people could fly around in a 737 quite comfortably. And the bed and the shower and all that. And so I've said on the show many times that I'm really looking forward to flying on the A380 so I could take a shower at 35,000
It's
feet.
amazing.
Yeah, so
It's amazing.
really.
Yeah.
So, Nev, the our ambassador for BA here at the table, given that choice, Nev, where would your loyalties lie?
Can't have Concorde.
No, well, I think I'd buy a British Aerospace 146.
What?
But so many people say that it's powered by 4 APUs.
It is.
Because it's quite underpowered.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a little airplane, little engines. You've
Yes.
got 4 of them after all. I
That's
think
right.
they're helicopter engines, actually, aren't they? Allison's or something?
Lycoming,
Like
I
Homing,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I
great
get the
for
point
fighting
now, but
fires.
It's not a current production model.
Oh, but it's slightly though, isn't it? I mean, there's the RJ. There's.
I mean,
there's
the right flyer
You
is
can
also
find all of the
slightly
parts,
available.
right, and assemble it.
I mean, it is obviously the more modern versions of it, aren't there? Now,
But you can't go buy one. You can't go and buy a new one.
No, not brand new.
No, I mean, I think you might even press British Aerospace beyond the point of destruction to go and build one now, because I think they've sold all the jigs and everything else.
I think
so-
I've misunderstood the question, haven't I?
Were you not paying attention?
Did you not read the show notes?
Hold on.
So come on then, Al. What are you sitting with aircraft-wise then?
For me, it would be very easy. I'd just go out and go and buy an A350. Simple.
Okay.
Have you
It's-
flown
that
in
was
one
easy.
yet?
I've not had the opportunity either as a passenger or to have a go in the simulator, but it just looks like a really nice aeroplane. It will fly beautifully because it's an Airbus, and it will be extremely fuel efficient, which it already is. So, and I know that Nick would ideally love the opportunity to fly it because his airline will be getting them, and I think you're probably just going to miss out.
by 6 months. Well, they get it 6 months before I retire, so I won't have a chance to convert, I don't think.
But I think it looks beautiful.
And Matt, moving on to you. Lucky last.
What?
Come on, choice.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What?
Exactly.
Oh, too bad the 757 wasn't on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of which.
I can tell which aircraft. I can tell you which aircraft or two aircrafts now that I don't want
Okay, go
to
on.
own. I'm afraid they are both Boeing products, and
Okay.
it's the 75 and the 76. Any variation, I'm not fussy. Just neither of those aircraft.
Okay.
The 75, I want less than the 76.
What if somebody gifted you with a
Yeah.
757?
What if you were gifted with...
I would ceremonially burn it.
And
like it.
moving on to the next piece of amazement then, we do have a little gift for you, Matt. And
He looks horrified.
this gift was flown over by an airline using a Boeing.
As opposed to
a bumblebee?
Yeah.
Using a Boeing.
Yeah.
And we have a little gift here for you. Well, this is actually from Brian. Brian has made this. For those of you who listen to the Airplane Geek show, will know that Brian Coleman's been experimenting with 3D printing. And one of the best pieces of 3D printing that Brian's made, I have here for you. He's printed this for you with his 3D printer. This is actual 3D printing. He has printed you the actual 757-200 that you flew over with United Airlines. And we just hand that to you there, Matt.
Just fly it on over to him.
And now he's going to burn it. He said he was going to burn it.
Yes,
burn it.
Keep the matches away.
That's the actual one you flew on.
How did you do that? How? Just
3D printing.
Yeah, I know, but like
It's you
to
press a
build
button and say print. It's just like printing a document, except that took about 10 hours.
Really?
No,
I was going to say
about 3.5.
There we go. Look at this.
There we go.
I'm not quite sure. A small complaint. It's got no landing gear. Right? I've got.
Yeah. And actually,
Yeah, the real thing doesn't either.
Shorty Crosgrove in the chat room said, and it's pink. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely, quite right. Yeah,
yeah. I was too lazy to change the spool, so you just got the color that was in the printer from the last
I can only
print job.
think of one airline that would actually fit this colour schedule, and I don't think they fly for 75s, unfortunately.
No.
But there we are. Well, thank you very much.
Hey.
You will cherish it
Yeah,
forever.
I will, but more because of the person who gave it to me rather than what it is of.
And I do have another gift for someone on the panel. And for those of you who listen to the Airplane Airline Pilot Guy show, I should say, will know that this particular person is retiring from the airlines in the not too distant future. He's also set a counter online so everyone can follow exactly how many days, weeks, minutes, seconds, milliseconds there are until he finishes flying. So I have for you, Nick. This is what is classed as a nostalgic aircraft. And it's a little kit for you to make here of a nostalgic aircraft.
Boeing.
What was that about
very
ceremonial
much.
burning sessions? Sorry.
It's made out of wood, so you can actually
So
burn it.
So I can build and burn. It says here on the back, Achtung, nicht für Kinder und drei Jaren.
I think you should just let Fabian read that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just easier. Yeah.
No, seriously, it looks like Limburg's Spirit of St. Louis, doesn't it?
I thought you'd have hours of pleasure with that.
What's it supposed to be?
See, I thought that was Boeing's new 757 replacement. Yeah, the blueprint
What, the
for
Spirit
it.
of St. Louis? I think that'd be a great idea. It was made in, wait a minute, Lilienthal. Is there a place called Lilienthal in Germany? Because it says
I know Lily Allen.
28865 Lilienthal, Germany, because Lilienthal, of course, was famous German glider pilot. Was he Lilienthal? Or was he the bloke that used to jump off hills on a glider, one of the first manned gliders?
Either
Someone
way,
help
that
me
has
out
an
here.
engine, so it's not a glider.
Lilienthal. Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, many thank you very much. Many thank yous. Plain Talking UK. That's very kind of you. Warning: not suitable for children under 3. Oh, I better give it back. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And I mustn't swallow the parts. Okay.
But that's a serial number on it, though.
Yeah, exactly right. Look, there's a very unhappy child there.
That can be something else you can have for the show. You see, you've obviously got the Airbus poster behind you when you're doing the APG show from your studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I shall. I shall stick it in behind. Just to correct my previous statement, Otto Lilienthal lived up till 1896, the German pioneer of aviation who became known as the Flying Man. He was the first person to make a well-documented, repeated, successful flight with an unpowered aeroplane. Brilliant man. And, of course, there is a medal, the Lilienthal medal, which I mentioned on my talk the other day, because one of my flight commanders in my first Phantom Squadron, who was 3 times World Open Gliding Champion, won the Otto Lilienthal medal. Thanks to Mr. Lilienthal, who was dead by then, but thanks for that.
So that is where I suppose we'll bring the news and the gift segment to a close for the show this week. We're gonna
hang on a minute, it's made in China.
Damn, I forgot to colour that bit out. Anyway, shall we do a little sort of walk around the various guests? Can we do that?
What we're going to do, if that's okay, first is we're going to have a quick break. We've got some messages that I'd like to play out that we've been sent. Good. So I'm going to play those out just so that everybody has an opportunity for a quick break, and we'll be right. All being well, he says he's lost the thing. 1 second, he's going to press some buttons here quickly. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
TheVoicesInYourHead.com. Podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from news across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, want to help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.planetalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/planetalkinguk, on Twitter via @planetalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@planetalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
Flybe 5823, Trent Dane for 23 Manchester, Wizz Air 6X, climb flight level 210, direct to Bretlands Park. United 123, maintain 280 knots. London 2TME, turn right onto Bravo, link 21 join Alpha, hold at Mora, Speedbird 472, LOC/TME, approach runway 27 left, follow the green stand 544.
That's enough air traffic control for today, Nat. Bedtime.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fly a commercial passenger jet? Looked up at the sky and thought, I wish that was me? Well, now anyone has the chance to have a go at flying in a real aircraft simulator. NP Simulations and Flight Experience London, the only official Boeing licensed product of its kind in the UK, offer you the chance to fly anywhere in the world in their fixed-base Boeing 737-800 flight simulator. And that's not all. Ground School London offers many different courses for the up-and-coming pilot looking for a start in aviation. With prices starting at just £109, the sky's the limit. So for the ultimate flight simulator experience, or engaging preparatory courses, including those for schools and colleges, check out the websites at www.london.flightexperience.co.uk and www.groundsschoollondon.com, or call on 020 300 40 616. NP Simulations. Fly your dreams.
Hi, Carlos, Matt and Neville and all the Plane Talking UK podcast team. David Kavanagh here from Adelaide, Australia. Just like to give you a quick message to congratulate you on your 200th episode. I enjoy listening to your show each week, driving to and from work. Always brings a smile to my face and always learn something new. Your guests, your interviews and at the different Dare shows are always interesting, informative and a lot of fun. So well done, guys. Look forward to the next 200 episodes.
G'day, Plane Talking UK. This is Evan from Australia. I just wanted to wish you a happy 300th episode. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. Happy 200th episode, but I definitely know you'll make it to 300. So thank you for all your work, Carlos, Matt, Owen, and Nev, and anyone else that contributes to it. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you. While I'm here, I just thought I'd share a little bit of news. Over the Christmas New Year period, I actually finished off my private pilot license. I did my theory exam in November, prepared for the practical, and did my flight exam on the 27th of December. So I've finally just gotten all the paperwork through. So it's a great relief, and it's nice to have an internationally recognised licence. But it wasn't without its interesting occurrences. I just wanted to share a little story, one of those I learnt that from episodes of aviation. On the test day, the flight test, it's broken into two parts. There's a sort of an oral theory examination part of it, where the examiner will take any of the questions you got wrong in the theory exam and can drill down and quiz you on those. So the idea is you're supposed to get up to speed on the ones that you got wrong. So that's fine, but that plus all the paperwork and preparation can take, a couple of hours. So by this time you're already a little bit fatigued. And I thought, well, I've been flying for a few years now, so the flight part of it should actually be the easy part. Well, we got in the plane, taxied out, it's all good. We got clearance to take off and apply full power, looking at the backup instruments. Yep, airspeed's alive. Look up at the mains. This is in an SR20 Cirrus, so it's got the really big glass screens. And I'm looking for my airspeed to become alive, and it's not moving. And we're accelerating down the runway, and I thought, this is a test. I don't want to get airborne with a problem and take it and then have to deal with it in the air. I'd rather stop. So I cut the power, applied the brakes, got off at the first available taxiway, and let the tower know that I was aborting the takeoff. And the moment I started cleaning up the aircraft, I realised exactly what I'd done. And it turns out that I must have been much more nervous than I thought, because I'd actually focused in on the altitude tape, not the airspeed tape on the main display. I've never done that before, and I definitely know I'll never do it again. But it turns out that, just in the moment. So anyway, the examiner didn't say anything, just sort of gestured to head back to the runway. So I got taxi clearance back to the runway, and we took off and did the rest of the test without any real incident. And I'd totally forgotten by the time I was worrying about loss procedures and going under the hood and doing instrument work and all that sort of stuff. And when we got back, the examiner said, "So, how did you think you went?" And I said, "I'm just not sure about that start." And he said, "Well, yes, it was for a bit of a nervous kind of reason, a silly reason, but I was very happy with the fact that you were prepared to cancel the takeoff in a safe manner because you weren't seeing what you wanted to see. And in fact, the fact that you were prepared to do that on a test, and also you did it well and we didn't scoot off the runway or anything, tells me that you're going to try and make the right decision at all times." So I'm very happy with the way that went. And that actually, it really surprised me. So even on tests, you can learn a lot. So I just thought I'd share that little lesson I learnt, and we'll continue learning every day I go flying. So anyway, thanks again, guys. I hope you're enjoying the day at the simulators. I wish I could be there, but it's a long way from Melbourne to London. But one day I will make it over there and I will meet you guys in person. Anyway, all the very best and my thanks. Anyone who's not already a Patreon donor, please think about it, because it helps keep podcasts like these alive and it's very worthwhile. So thanks.
Hello, Carlos, Matt, Pip, Owen, and Neville. It's Jen Niffer here, and I just wanted to send along my congratulations on your 200th episode. I can't believe it's been 200 episodes. That's awesome. I really love the show. You guys do a great job. Please, please keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to the next 200 shows. Bye.
Hi, Carlos, Matt, and Nev. It's Liz in Toronto. Your 200th show, what an accomplishment. I just wanted to say hello and to wish you the best for a wonderful weekend. I'm sure you're all having a great time. Wish I could be there with you. Thanks for all the fun and information you shared over the past many shows. I look forward to many, many more. Cheers. Bye for now.
Hello, everybody. Max Flight here. I was really hoping to watch episode 200 live and join in on the chat with a few of my favorite AV geeks, but that's not possible. As you are recording episode 200, I'm exercising my right to protest at the Connecticut Women's March in Hartford. You guys have Brexit, and we have, well, you know who. So I'm doing something about our mess. I'll leave your mess to you. Anyway, having violated my no politics while podcasting rule, let me get right to it and congratulate you on reaching the 200 episode milestone. When a podcast gets to the 10th episode, I'd say they have the opportunity to be successful. At the 100 episode mark, a podcast is really onto something, but 200 episodes is a little special because at that level, a podcast is making a meaningful contribution to the community. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be creating episodes that a lot of people listen to. PTUK is an aviation podcast that is creating meaningful content that fosters a community, and I'm really happy about that. Sure, there are other aviation podcasts that we listen to, good podcasts, but each one is unique with a different format and personality. Carlos, Matt, Neville, and all the contributors, Pilot, Pip, and others, have a chemistry that brings an aviation community together. Plus, you figured out the live video thing. That's huge. To be honest, video scares me, and live scares me too. Put them together and I'm paralyzed, but you guys make it look easy. Amazing. So again, congratulations on reaching this massive milestone. Thank you for your tremendous dedication to AvGeek enjoyment. Keep up the good work. Oh, my plugs. I get to plug my shows, right? Okay, airplanegeeks.com for a weekly dose of aviation, the UAVdigest.com with David Vanderhoof for a look at unmanned aircraft and systems, and PaxXPodcast.com each month, where Mary Kirby and I talk with an industry expert about the passenger experience. There, plug done. On to 300.
Hi Carlos, Matt, Pip and Nev, congratulations on achieving the massive milestone of 200 episodes. You've carved out a real niche in aviation podcasting, and I'm sure along with all your other listeners, they should join me in thanking you for all the effort and hard work that goes into making the programme. Whilst we all love aviation and it's our passion, I really do understand the effort you have to invest to bring the programme to the listeners. Thank you for all of that hard work. So, from Tim, Gareth and myself, we wish you every success with the episode and look forward to seeing you hit 300 and maybe even 400 episodes sometime in the future. Well done, guys.
Bedtime.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fly a commercial passenger jet? Looked up at the sky and thought, I wish that was me? Well, now anyone has the chance to have a go at flying in a real aircraft simulator. NP Simulations and Flight Experience London, the only official Boeing licensed product of its kind in the UK, offer you the chance to fly anywhere in the world in their fixed-base Boeing 737-800 flight simulator. And that's not all. Ground School London offers many different courses for the up-and-coming pilot looking for a start in aviation. With prices starting at just £109, the sky's the limit. So for the ultimate flight simulator experience, or engaging preparatory courses, including those for schools and colleges, check out the websites at www.london.flightexperience.co.uk and www.groundsschoollondon.com, or call on 020 300 40 616. NP Simulations. Fly your dreams.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And these two gentlemen sitting next to me are responsible for us being here. This is Nick and Paul. Nick and Paul from NP Simulations, and these are the generous gentlemen that have handed over their facility to us for today and actually yesterday when we were setting up the show. It's probably come up as a bit of a shock to them that there's nearly 40 people in the building when there's normally 3 or 4. But anyway, so I'd just like to say, guys, thanks ever so much indeed, because we could not have done this without you. So first of all, Nick, tell me a little about NP Simulations and how it all started.
Oh, wow. I mean, we were just talking about when we first
came on your show, and we're thinking it must have been round about springtime. Would I be right with that, guys? Yeah, and the strange thing is, I remember at the time, I think Carla's saying to us, mentioning about the 200th show and what a great idea it would be to stage it here. And I remember Paul and I sort of thinking, when you mentioned January, just thinking, January, wow, you know, that's years away, you know, because we'd only actually started trading in March anyway. So yeah, it's come around quickly. And as we say, we've almost been up and running a year now, very soon. Two sides to the business, as we talked, I think, at length about earlier last year. Flight experience. I think you've seen the ad running a few times, which is essentially allowing the public to come in, see what it's like to fly a big jet. You don't need any experience at all. Our instructors take you through everything. And the other side of the business really is Ground School London, which is the side of the business that both Paul and myself are really keen to develop. It's something that's sort of very close to our hearts. And that's really, at the moment, it's more about foundation training, and that could be for young guys looking to go into the industry as pilots. We take people from the age of 15. We do schools and college courses, foundation courses, or future pilots course we call it. And then also guys who are a little bit older. They're just in that sort of stage of maybe applying for a cadetship at one of the larger academies, L3 or CAE, and really it's designed over 11 weeks to just give them an insight into what that's going to entail, help them with the selection process, and also just to prepare them for that first 6 months when they, you know, get a terrible shock and understand what ground school is all about. So that's really in a nutshell what we have been doing. What we're quite excited about is that, you know, we're now looking to move on to the next stage. As I say, it was always the plan. Obviously, our side of the business, it's not just about the delivering the products and the services and the operation. You know, it's about the how do we do that? How do we finance it? What are the next stages? And you know, Paul and myself have had a plan for 5-6 years, and you know, we've built it up and we finance, you know, piece by piece as we go into the next section. So today, really, we're just going to talk very briefly about what we're looking to do next, and how perhaps some of the plain talking guys can help us with that next stage.
One of the things that strikes me straight away is looking at your superb 737-800 simulator. I mean, this is not cheap stuff to do, is it, by any stretch of the imagination? So the funding process is obviously very important. And also, you know, the guys that are running it, you know, Paul here, the chief instructor, and Joe. I mean, how much time do you actually spend in the box, as it were?
Far too much time. My Aston Martin's on hold about the next 50 years. I mean, it does depend on the day, but on busy days, Joe and we have a couple of other instructors that come in and help who are really good, Umar, Anthony and Wilson, and we can sometimes be in the box sort of 5 or 6 hours in a day each, and that's quite tiring. Yeah, and in the summer, it's very hot.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being sat next to you on a couple of occasions now, and just in the short period that I was in there, I came out actually quite tired. So for you guys, it must be very difficult indeed sometimes.
Yes, it can be. It can be a tiring day. But the nice thing, and I think I'm right in saying that we've never had someone come out with a long face or what have you. So when you do see one of the clients come out and they say, "This is great, this is fantastic," and it sort of beefs you up a bit, it G's you up a little bit, and that's really nice.
Certainly the reviews I've seen on TripAdvisor have been absolutely fantastic and well justified as well, no question about it. So that's good. So Nick, tell us what's the next stage then for you guys in terms of the facility here?
Okay. I mean, obviously we're going to continue and to build on what we've already got. So what we're doing well, we think we're doing very well at the moment. On the flight experience side, so we're going to develop that and do plenty more. Now, part of that, to be able to do that, is to bring our second simulator in. Now, as you can see, and obviously all the guys who are with us today can see, that the provision for that was always made. So this is sort of part of our next stage, and part of our business plan was to bring a 320 simulator in. So we're currently
now just before we go on. There's always a very healthy bit of banter between the Airbus and Boeing types, not just on our podcast, but clearly within the facility here. So what's your preference then, Paul?
I have to say I learned to fly an Airbus in January last year, and that 35 seconds it took me was hard work, but
just trying to find the land and takeoff buttons.
No, it's just point, let go, yeah. No, I'm a Boeing pilot, so I'm rather steeped in my old-fashioned ways.
It shows. Yes. Well, I interrupted your flow there, Nick. So yeah. Well, someone had to get a dig in, didn't they? Yeah. So go on. Tell us what's next then.
By popular demand, we are now in the process of procuring a 320 simulator. That process started some time ago, to be honest, and we have options. We've got a tentative order in with the same guys that delivered our 737, but there's other options as well. So we're exploring that. In fact, Paul and I have a trip to Germany week after next to speak to another supplier. So that process is ongoing. What we're particularly excited about, and it's probably our primary focus at the moment, is to move to the next level as well with ground school. So at the moment, as I mentioned, we do foundation courses and preparatory training for people who are sort of thinking about, or they've made the decision and they haven't, they're moving on to the formal stages. What we've always wanted to do was to be involved in the formal stages of training. So we have now started the process of applying to be to the CAA to be a registered ATO, which is Approved Training Organisation. We've got some guys who are working for us who are incredibly experienced consultants who've worked for the CAA. We actually think that we're there anyway. It's now jumping through the hoops and ticking the boxes, and no doubt paying them lots of money for the privilege.
We even bought a ladder the other day. That is how serious we are about this. We now have a ladder so we can put up signs and things.
And you've got a Makita drill, because I had a go at that yesterday.
You're drilling holes in our walls, yes. Great fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that is now sort of, it always was our intention. That's now come to the front. They're our two main focuses going into this new year. Obviously, to get the 320 simulator in, and to get that ATO approval through. And we're hoping, provided things go to plan, timescale wise, we can start looking to roll out courses such as MCC, JOC, and even we're looking at actually running language courses as well. For ICAO level 4.
English for aviation, ICAO level 3 and 4 language courses. So that's quite exciting, and someone actually came to us about that. It wasn't something that we were thinking about, but he's already very experienced and highly qualified, so we're thinking we might as well utilise the facility for that as well.
Now, obviously, what we've seen and what all the guys here have experienced on the 737 simulator under your instruction and Joe's instruction has been absolutely superb. But I'll come back to sort of the funding and the money side of things. Have you got some thoughts and plans about how you want to take it forward?
I mean, something that we've always been passionate about. Paul and I, and with some incredibly good help from our advisors as well, who've worked with us right from the start. We've always wanted people who are as passionate as we are to be involved in the business. It's very easy it's not easy, but it's, to get people to come in who don't have an interest. It's purely another investment in their portfolio, perhaps, but they're not aviation enthusiasts. And it's not essential to the running of the business, but it's something that everyone who's involved in our business, the sort of common theme is we're all passionate about it. So what we're today introducing, as I say, we've been working on it, and it was always the plan for the second phase, is for the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, which we're launching from today onwards. That essentially means that we are essentially giving away what will amount to about 15.7% equity in the business. As I say, ideally, we would love investors who share the same passion that we do, because we would like, even though it could be small investors or large investors, we are essentially looking for people that want to take an interest in the business. Now, I'm not going to sit here and sort of provide all the details. We've got a very detailed briefing pack which includes all the financials, what the whole scheme's about. But essentially, it allows anyone, anyone who's perhaps never invested before, to come in and actually take a stake and join us in the business. Now, as I say, it could be a larger stake, a smaller stake, but what we really want is people ideally to come in who want to get involved, not just to buy shares in the business, but also, you know, to communicate with us, you know, if there's opportunities, if they have thoughts about the business, you know, to be part of the business. And that's really why, as a starting point, I think you and I spoke about it several months ago. And I thought, well, what a great place to start. You know, you're hosting the event. I mean, all your guys are passionate about aviation. So, yeah, it's probably the perfect platform to start. So really, it's a case of anyone who would like to sort of join us on the journey. I mean, we're very excited about what comes next. We've got some interest even from overseas. From not so much on the investment, but in terms of using our facility for training from as far-flung as Africa. So we're very excited about the way it's going forward, about getting the ATO status, about bringing in the 320, which will be used both for the flight experience side and for the ground school side. And yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely fantastic if some of the plane talking community joined us on that journey. Yeah.
Two things that immediately struck me when I first came down here was the professionalism of both Paul and his colleague Joe actually inside the simulator itself. And as a keen amateur, personally speaking, they make you feel really at home, and it really is a super professional outfit. So I'd like to thank you, Paul, very much indeed for all the things that you've done, and your colleague Joe as well. So how can people find out more? Nick, what's the next stage if people want to get involved?
There's a lot of information. It's all there and ready to go. Anyone who is interested, as a first step, drop me an email. That's nick@mpsimulations.com. And what we'll do is send out the full information pack, and that'll include details about the company, details about where we've come from, where we're going, what the next stage of the journey is, the investment, the financial forecasts, the whole lot. So, and more about the scheme itself. So it'll go into the sort of the what we're looking for, and obviously the key question, you know, what's in it for me, which, you know, obviously is another thing. So, so I'm the first step in the process. Drop me an email, and obviously we'll get that information over to you as soon as possible.
That's really good, guys. So if you want to find out more about the next stage for the facility here, just send an email to nick@npsimulations.com. I'd like to thank both of you gentlemen for a fantastic day today, and there's more to come. And can I just say that we've enjoyed ourselves very much. So a nice big round of applause for these gentlemen.
And obviously, Nev, if anyone wants to, you know, speak to me or Paul about what we've just talked about, those who are here today, or drop their details, they can do that as well.
So there'll be a collection tin outside somewhere. Yeah, absolutely. But no. So I definitely encourage anyone that's interested in talking to these guys about being involved with the facility in the future. We've got them both here today, so good opportunity to do so.
Okay, right. We're going to play some feedback. It wouldn't be PTUK without a voice listening to our lovely uncle. So, Micah, take it away.
It's a strange feeling to have friends who feel like family spread out all over the world. Don't get me wrong, it's a great thing in the long run, something that often makes me very happy. Yet sometimes it makes me quite melancholy. Today I'm not sure which I'm feeling, maybe a bit of both. Let me clarify. Today is the 200th episode of Plain Talking UK, a podcast that is so family-oriented that when I contribute a piece to it, it's not just introduced as being from our main man, Micah, but also from Uncle Micah. It's a podcast that's often done live from the kitchen studio and has always been regularly hosted by Matt Smith and Carlos Stebbins, with a more recent edition of Neville Bounds. I don't think of these guys as just friends, but as extended family. The show often features regular guest hosts, many of whom I also think of the same way. And not only that, when coming from the kitchen studio, there are regular appearances by the beautiful Gemma and the illustrious Poppycat. So yes, it does feel like family to all of us. In fact, so much so that oftentimes Matt reminds us by saying, "Family show, ladies and gentlemen, family show." But you know, Plain Talking UK is a family show for another reason too. Plain Talking UK is part of a family of podcasts. They include the Airline Pilot Guy, the Plane Safety Podcast, and the Airplane Geeks, among a few others. Now this part may make me the happiest. You see, I'm really a very lucky guy, incredibly fortunate in fact. Why, you ask? Because I'm lucky enough to be a small part of all those shows. I think of them, the people who host them, and many regular listeners as part of my extended family. You know how the old saying goes, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family? Well, that's not entirely true. You see, I'm not sure whether they chose me or I chose them, but somehow we all got together and chose one another. We have feelings for each other, and although feelings can run good and bad, positive and negative, for us, it's good feelings, feelings of caring, feelings we don't often talk about, but we all know exist. It's those feelings we have for one another that has me a little melancholy today. When family is from all over the world, or even all over the country here in the USA, family gatherings become very special. Getting together at special occasions are often magical moments. I've been fortunate to be able to gather with a good portion of this special family a couple of times. First in Farnborough in 2016, and then last year in Pittsburgh. Not everyone could be at both get-togethers, and we missed the ones who weren't in attendance, but they weren't forgotten. And if not there in person or with us live, they were there later, listening back to the podcast we did from each location. I missed having everyone with me in person when I was in Farnborough and Pittsburgh. I thought I knew how they felt to be with us only through the magic of the internet. But then a couple of months ago, when APG 300 came along in Atlanta, I was here in Portland, Maine. I was a celebrant from a distance. And today, for Plain Talking UK 200, with the celebration happening in the UK, though thrilled and delighted for all my friends and family in attendance, I'm only able to join you with this little congratulatory piece. So yes, I am incredibly happy. I'm incredibly delighted that Plain Talking UK is celebrating 200 episodes. I'm thrilled that so many of my friends and family are able to get together and enjoy one another in person. But also, I feel a little sad that I'm not there with you. Carlos, Matt, thanks for taking on such a great endeavor for 200 shows. Thanks for bringing Nev on board as a regular host. And Nev, thanks for all your great work. Matt Smith and Carlos Stebbins figured it out. How do you make an already terrific podcast even better? Just add Neville Bounds, of course. So while I have this melancholy feeling rolling around inside me, I'm also feeling a lot of nachas. That's a Yiddish word that translates to joy, pride in someone's accomplishments. It's that feeling you get when a family member graduates from school or gets married. That joy when you're proud of someone for growing and doing great things. I wish I could be there with you right now to celebrate, but you know, I'm there in spirit. So do me a favor if you can. Since you're flying a simulator, and can fly it anywhere in the world, why don't you have someone fly the Harbor Visual approach into Portland, Maine? That's KPWM if you need the airport code. It's a beautiful flight and worth seeing. And if you choose to do so, when you virtually land here in Portland, you can be here with me in spirit too. Meet me at the MacJets FBO in the south end of the field. I'll be the guy with the beard wearing a hat and holding the beers for you thirsty pilots. Here's to 200 more PTUK episodes. For Plane Talking UK, from across the pond in Portland, Maine in the USA, this is your main man, Uncle Micah.
Oh, the lovely Uncle Micah. Thank you ever so much, dear sir, for your thing. As you can probably notice then, it's a little bit empty here in the studio, and there's a very good reason for that. Because, as seems to be traditional with any event that we're involved in, something's going on outside, isn't it, Nev?
As usual, food is involved with podcasts. Not just sensible amounts of food, but incredible amounts of food. And of course, as you would expect, Captain Al is always involved somewhere. And so is Dr. Steph as well. Now, we have had previous chicken nugget eating competitions, and the score currently stands at 1-1. So I don't know whether this is going to be a final decider or whether this is just the playoffs, shall we say, and there's more of it to come. But what do you think, Matt? Is this sustainable, this kind of behaviour?
I don't know. I mean, it can't be good for either of them. Let's be honest. I mean, it's Al I'm most worried about. I mean, Steph at least runs. I mean, there is that to it. But hopefully we can join Owen. Owen, are you there?
Hi guys, I'm here. I was just trying to listen for a cue. So we're here and we're going to be doing a chicken nugget eating contest between Captain Al and Dr. Steph. So, do we have a countdown timer ready? Oh, Pip's going to introduce it. My bad, stealing the line.
Hello, friends, gathered guests, Romans countrymen. Crave your indulgence for a few minutes. I'd like to tell you a little story. A tale, a myth about a man. Yes, a man, a mortal man, but there were many who considered this man a god, a king amongst men. A machine, an eating machine. A man placed on this earth for one purpose, to eat. And there was no curry that he could not devour. There was no burger that could withstand his onslaught. But amongst all the food and all the animals and all the creatures on the earth, his favorite to feast upon was the humble, lowly chicken. His name could only be whispered for fear that he might appear and pluck a chicken and break it into pieces. And these nuggets of chicken, if you will, he would shove into his face and eat by the bucketful. And he became known as Sir Captain of Al. And the legend of Captain of Al travelled wide and far across distant lands, and eventually travelled across the ocean to a far, far away land. A strange, backwards land called South Carolina. And the people of South Carolina had built a whole civilization based upon eating fried chicken. And the greatest of these South Carolinians was a barbarian known as Dr. Steph. And when Dr. Steph heard of the legend of Al, she laughed. "Ha!" she said. "Who is this man who dares claim he can eat more chicken nuggets than I? Here," she said to her servants, "hold my beer." And she got on her aeroplane and she travelled in search of Captain Al to challenge him And she found him, and a great battle took place that became known as the Battle of Farnborough. And the barbarian Dr. Steph was victorious. She pulled his metaphorical pants down and spanked him in front of everybody,
which was quite enjoyable, to be honest,
and made him cry like the little girl that he was. And the disgrace and shame ran deep for Captain Al. But Captain Al was strong. He sought revenge, and he travelled on his own aeroplane to a faraway city, a smelly, dirty city of Pittsburgh. And again they did battle. Many chickens were slaughtered, but this time Captain Al was victorious. And so the legend went on, but it was never established who was the greatest chicken nugget eater of all time.
Pip, I'm very concerned because these chicken nuggets are getting very cold during this.
Matt, shut up. But now today, for your entertainment, to quench your lust for blood and battle and chicken nuggets, we have gathered these two warriors here again to settle once and for all who is the greatest chicken nugget consumer of all time. So at stake today is glory, yes. National pride, yes. But something far greater than either of these things. For today, the victor will take home a trophy of such incalculable wealth. Owen has just come back from breaking into the Tower of London to steal this trophy. The victor will take home with them this beautiful 18-carat plastic effigy of the legendary chicken of Putney. Warriors, are you ready? The barbarian Dr. Steph, are you ready?
Ready.
Sir Captain of Owl.
Ready.
Right, the rules are 5 minutes. Do we have a clock? You each have 30 chicken nuggets in your box. You have an assortment of sweet and sour sauces. You may drink water. You may vomit. You may burp.
Which end?
Are you ready? Can we have a countdown? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commence battle! Oh, Captain of Owl is straight in there. He's not even chewed those first two.
That's not a good tactic.
Let's see how we're doing.
Who's going to do the song and dancing while we're waiting?
Dr. Steph's looking particularly relaxed. She's taken on a very nonchalant strategy today. Captain Owl, well, he's just eating.
He's an animal. You're going to loosen your belt now.
Have you ever seen, Brian, have you ever seen such barbarity and poor table manners?
It's the fact that they're dipping in sauce as well. That's impressive.
It's disgusting.
But is it really chicken?
Well,
I mean, it says it is, but...
These come from the great Scottish chicken herder, Old Man MacDonald.
For next year, I actually want to do a pizza eating one, and I want to be involved in the
Oh, yeah,
pizza
I'm up for that.
eating
I'm up for
contest. Yeah. But it has to be New York style pizza. No Chicago deep dish.
We've got Fred here from the West Coast. Do you like a chicken nugget?
I would love a chicken nugget.
No, that's against the rules. You can't do that.
There's some country pride involved here, so I'm going to have to root for Dr. Steph.
You're going for Dr. Steph. Okay. Have we got anyone cheering for Al? Come on, anyone? Come on, Al. You can do it.
Halfway there.
Halfway. How are we doing? How many have we got left? Oh, it's very difficult to say. Very difficult to say who's winning at this stage. Although, if I were to hazard a guess, I think that Al is slightly ahead. But Steph knows how to do a marathon. She knows how to pace herself. I've got a feeling she's going to step up a gear any second. But don't ruin your appetite, because we have dinner in like an hour.
It has more volume, but it lubricates, so it's kind of a toss-up. Although Dr. Steph was doing the IPA or Captain and all Steve, so I think that might have something to do with it. It's a possibly bad strategy on Dr. Steph's part. I don't know, but she's doing.
I think it's a mental game. I think you just have to commit. I think you can mind over matter this one.
And coming up to the 1 minute mark. Cake, a piece of ice cream.
I've got Jonathan over here. He's still got a huge smile on his face from the sim. Did you have good fun?
I had very good fun.
Did you land?
Very well.
Very well, he landed. All right, let's go back. Let's see how we're doing.
And last
Come
30
on, last
seconds.
push.
Final sprint. What was that?
All right, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop eating. All right. One. Did you start with 30 each, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So by my reckoning, Steph has eaten 19 whole nuggets.
Wow, that's incredible.
Scene, Steph.
I mean, national pride is at stake here, obviously, Al. No pressure.
Captain Al is still chewing. Are you still chewing? Both still chewing.
I'm done chewing. Is that a tiebreaker?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie.
No! No!
They have both wolfed down 19 chicken nuggets. I didn't plan for this eventuality.
No, but I'm done chewing. Like I'm done.
All right, we're going to put this to the popular vote. All those who would like to see Steph crowned Chicken Nugget Barbarian of 2018, put your hands up. For all those who would like Al to be crowned king, let me hear it.
everyone else.
Okay, since I'm wearing the stripes, I'm going to award the trophy, the broken trophy, to Dr. Steph. Woo! Matt, it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't have asked for a more worthy opponent than Sir Captain of Al, who's true legend when it comes to chicken nugget eating. And yes, I'm sure there will be many more encounters and battles down the road. So,
well, I think a final big round of applause, please, for our magnanimous contenders. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. So, Owen, while you're there with all these wonderful people here, perhaps you just have a quick chat with everyone before we wrap up, because I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that point where it is nearly time to wrap up.
Yeah, so just before we wrap up, we're going to have a quick talk with everyone around here, and we're going to see what your name is, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about yourself, why you listen to the podcast. We'll start here with Graham Hill.
Hello, Graham Haley from the UK, training air traffic controller, should be on the job in a couple of months, and it's just a great podcast, so keep listening, same with all of them.
Excellent. So next we've got William Hardcastle.
Hello, I'm from Hull up in East Yorkshire. I've been listening for 3 years after a bit of a fear of flying, got into the podcast APG and Airline Pilot Guy, and cheers, here's to many more.
Next here we have...
Hello, my name's Matt. I had the misfortune to work with Carl for several years, and he got me onto the show. And I also work as a part-time brewer and T-shirt model.
Excellent. Next we've got Andres.
Hello, I'm Andreas. I'm from Sweden. I just love this podcast. I just come for this event. Thank you.
Excellent. And we'll pass it on to Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben from Bournemouth, just came up for the 200th episode, and it's been great to meet everybody, and fantastic podcast. Thank you very much, guys.
So here we've got Richard King.
Yeah, I'm Richard King. I'm from Banbury in Oxfordshire. I'd just like to thank the guys for putting on such a great show, and the guys from Simulations for letting us have a go and not break the simulator.
Thank you very much, Richard. Next on to Ruben.
Ruben Wells, been a private pilot, flying for about 20 years. Had a great time today. Really enjoyed the sim session, so a big thank you to PTUK for organising it.
Yes, thank you indeed. Next up, we've got another Andrew.
Hello, I'm Andy, one half of the A320 podcast, Andy and Matt. Here for a great day. It's been fantastic so far, and here's another 200 episodes.
Thank you very much. Next on to Jonathan Warner.
Hi. Yes, brilliant podcast. It's great to get everyone in one place and meet people that you know online. So,
thank you very much. Armando's next.
Yeah. First of all, super congratulations to the PTUK team. 200. This is a great show. Super impressed with it. But yep, just looking forward to the next 200.
Thank you very much. So we'll head over to the next side of the room, and we'll see who we have here. We've got Dan Hannington.
Hello. What am I meant to be saying?
So Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got on to listening to the PTUK.
Okay, my name's Dan Hannington, and I'm from a town just down the road, Guildford. And I've been listening to Plain Talking UK since episode number 1. I remember Carlos leaving feedback on Airline Pilot Guy all those years ago, and yeah, I've been listening since he said he was starting a podcast. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I hate to break up a conversation here, but we'll get interviewing some people here. Who's next?
Hello.
So
Nugget, sorry.
the remnants of the contents. So Barbara, how long have you been listening to us?
Well, I've been listening to Plain Talking UK for probably about 2 years. 2 years.
Excellent, excellent. Anything you particularly enjoy or don't enjoy about the show?
No, there's nothing I don't enjoy. I think it's fantastic. I love the presenters.
Oh,
Matt and
excellent.
Carlos and Owen, and particularly
well, Nev's joined, but I love it when Al and Pip come on. But I wouldn't say there's anything I don't enjoy.
Excellent.
No, it's good. Interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure.
Very quickly, we'll move on. And next is Jenny.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Jenny. And tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you get started on listening to the PTUK.
Well, I found by accident the Aviation Geeks podcast about 10 years ago, and then they mentioned the one here in Norfolk. And so I've been listening to that from about episode 3, actually, so I'm really a long-term listener.
Long-time listener.
Yes, and then from there I heard about the APG and all the other connections, so I listen avidly every week.
Thank you very much. And lastly here we've got Philip Davis.
Hi, Owen. All right.
Hi,
hello,
everything's-
PTUK world.
So, how about you? Where are you from?
I'm from Torquay. I'm a plane spotter, and I've been with the show since day one.
Day one. One of our longest listeners here. So, anything you'd like to say in terms
just
of?
thank you very much to all the people that helped to do the show. Even yourself, who the editing and everything. But Matt, Carlos, Nev do a fantastic job. And we're all very grateful for what they do, and congratulations on the 200th episode.
Thank you very much. Before we head back to Matt, I'm going to take over the iPod and we're going to talk to Fabian.
Hi there, I'm Fabian from Germany, and what I love about the show is that it brings together all of us from all over the world, and thanks for the great meetup and for the 200th show. It's great to be here.
Excellent. So Matt, it's back to you.
Well, not quite, actually. I wonder if you could just sort of pass it now to Carlos, because as we bring the show to a close, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I'm sorry, it is that point where we have to bring the show to a close. We're going to pass it over to Carlos, and Carlos is going to cut the cake, because those are the rules. So we're going to have the cake cutting ceremony, if we may.
Can you hear me, Matt?
I can indeed, yes. I know you can barely hear me, but there we are.
Excellent. No, I can hear you fine. With your voice as it is, Mr. Smith,
Thank you,
everyone
dear.
can
Yes.
hear you.
How rude.
Anyway, so we are going to bring episode 200 to a close. I'm going to say a huge thanks first to Nick and Paul and Joe and everyone here at MP Simulations for hosting our 200th show. I appreciate every single one of you guys flying in from all around the world, driving down here, trains, whatever. Thanks to everyone who's made the effort to come down and see us down there. We really, really, really do appreciate it. Nevis, it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been great, and what a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I couldn't think of a better way of doing it, and thanks to everybody for coming and all the effort that's gone on behind the scenes, and especially to our hosts, NP Simulations and Nick, Paul and Joe. They've been absolutely superb.
So we've got one last thing left to do before we wrap up the show, and that is to cut this amazing cake. I have the knife here, and
seems a shame to cut it, really, doesn't it?
Actually, Nev, for me, this feels a bit like a wedding.
I did give you a bigger knife.
No. Oh no.
That's what she said.
We're not doing. Yeah, but I've had enough for the time being.
Are we cutting this? Shall we cut this together, Nev? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's cut it together.
So we're going to cut it together, traditional wedding style. Of which we go just to the left of it, and here we go.
Oh, look at that.
So as they put the blade through the
There we
knife, then
go.
everybody give them a nice big cheer as we bring episode 200 to a close. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.
So on behalf of me, Carlos, and Nev, and Matt, and all us here, Plane Talking UK, goodbye.